Hey, YouTube. How is it going? I hope all is well. Spent Electrons first in the house. Good to see you, my man. Thank you for coming in. This one is a little impromptu. I apologize. I was busy earlier today. If you didn't already see it, there was a post I made just recently for my members. Something very cool there. Granta's Glorious Tone is in the house as well. Oh joy, oh joy, oh joy. You can kind of see there's a lot of little things going on right here. It's a pretty busy desk. I have been a busy boy. I'm in a great mood right now. I feel good. I was super productive this weekend. What else? So I got all the yard work done. I got an oil change done. I got the car cleaned. I got the house, like everything's been kind of done. I buttoned up an amplifier. You can't really see it, but this guy right down there isn't one that you're used to seeing in that position there. In my free time, when I have it, I have managed to, I think, complete the design of one of my other designs. It is one of my 50-watt designs, but anyway, lots going on. Another thing that's happened this weekend, you can probably see it right here, is that the effects loop from Elam's 1849 has come in. And we'll give a quick once-over on this. So we won't be able to install this today. There's a couple other things we got to do, but I am going to try to do a little bit of progress on this today. We're not going to do a very long one. We'll probably just make a couple wires and stuff. This is one I kind of did a test thing on with my new tools here. So if you don't recall, I got one of these guys here to crimp the flag connectors with. So we'll do some more work with that. But I wanted to kind of go over something the other day. I know that Andy always loves to tease me because you can't ever do anything right? Nobody does it better than you do. Trust me how I know. No, I'm kidding. But in either case, he was saying that I should have done it differently, this, that, and the other. It's sloppy, yada, yada, yada. I think you can see this is quite clean. But I think what he actually meant more was that there's a different way to wire it. And I kind of wanted to go over the different ways that you could wire it. I guess we'll turn this into one of those things where it's like a lesson, if you will. But I apologize, I got laundry going in the background too, so I'm going to try to speak up and all that jazz, and I'm excited today, so I'm a little excitable. But in either case, there are a couple different ways that you could do this. I went down the middle and then around, and of course that way. I think what Andy was saying I probably could have done better is I could have ran it along the side here and shot up into each side of it, right? But if you can imagine, it would hide the wiring quite a bit. The only thing I didn't like about that is that it puts all the heaters kind of literally underneath this guy, because you wouldn't see the run, right? Hey, what's going on, Dale? Good to see you. Thank you guys for coming in. Hey, Lone Dog is in here as well. So if you can imagine running this thing here that you see underneath this guy and then just shooting out at each thing, would have been cleaner looking from the top side, but I don't know. I kind of like doing it this way. It's just a little bit easier. And to me, this has the least amount of wire you can possibly get away with, right? This is the noisiest thing in the amp. So, Riley! Oh, what is up? Dude, we got everybody in the house right now. I was not expecting to have a crew in the house today. So, in either case, back to topic at hand. There's a multitude of different ways you can do this. Honest to God, you could probably get away with just running a bus wire down this thing. I have built amps where I have canted these things, so like instead of having the holes all in line, they're kind of kicked at an angle to make it so that the heater wires, so that the pins are kind of at an angle, and that allows you to run literally a straight wire all the way through. You can do that. It's honest to God noise free. I mean, twisting them was just a way to do it so it was the same all the way around. Is there a different outcome of wiring it different? Well, that's kind of what we're talking about. So noise-wise, these are the noisiest thing in the amp. But because they're so noisy, it really doesn't matter. Like, there's some argument made that doing a tight twist on the wire is better. It helps to cancel out the noise that it has. I don't think that really helps all that much. The noise emanates around that source. So I think it is wisest to have the wires next to each other. Twisting them up just guarantees that they're going to stay in this nice tight pattern, which I guess can help reduce, the area of the noise emanation, or whatever you want to call it. Outside of that, I don't know. I don't like shooting in from the sides, because now you're making a run that's coming down from here, going over, and then shooting back up. Coming down, going over, shooting back up, etc., etc. It makes these large little U-loops, which means you have just that much more wire running in the amp. Which one's cleaner? Right? Wires, please. So, and we got Andy in the house. Holy hell, it's a freaking party now. I'll show you wires. Oh, come on, Andy. You know this looks good. That looks damn good. So I did get these guys here in the mail yesterday. So these are what I am intending to use here. We'll put them on the post, and that'll just kind of help hold it in place, if you will. I think I'm going to try to see if I can find a slightly smaller one. I think this one's 3/16. I'm going to see if they make an 1/8" version of it. But in either case, it's just a way to do it. Is there a better way? I don't really know that there is in this particular instance here. This is pretty tight, so and what are the thoughts on using some kind of ferrite bead? Ferrite beads don't really work the way you think they do. Not for this. My understanding is they don't really get rid of the kind of that type of noise so much. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but where are you going to put a ferrite bead on this thing? And you know what I mean? Oh, yeah, I know. I saw that HOD that you were putting in that thing last night. I assume that you got the handlebar all flattened out so you could get your wires in there. Ferrite beads work better on like your higher voltage thing. It kind of acts like a choke, if you will. It tries to resist current, and it does a little bit on keeping some like the RFI and stuff out, but it's for something like this, it's not really going to work too well. There's a lot of current, there's not so much voltage, so it doesn't really, it's got enough current that a ferrite bead is just not going to do anything with it. Nice, you got him in there. Hell yeah, dude. I was a little worried last night when you pulled that thing out and I saw that HOD of freaking crimps and stuff like that. I was like, oh, if there's any others in there, getting that thing out is going to be a batch, but looks like you got it, so awesome, man. That's good to hear. So yeah, there's several different ways that you can wire the heaters. I chose this way because it creates literally the least amount of wire possible, just shooting it right up the middle. I don't generally have a problem with heater wires making noise or inducting themselves into my tube circuitry, but this one is pretty tight. There's going to be a lot going on in a very little space, so it may become problematic. I don't know. I tried to leave this particular turret board pretty empty, so there's not going to be a whole heck of a lot going on there. So we'll see. I don't know. We won't know until we put it together. Today we're obviously not going to get a whole hell of a lot done, so thank you. I appreciate that. But this is what we got in the mail yesterday. Mr. Elam's 1849 has come through for me. And let me tell you, this thing is worth every freaking penny. So obviously you can see it's got send level, return level, and then of course send and return. This is a parallel effects loop, so it will work basically in tandem with, but not insert itself in. But let's look a little bit closer at some of the componentry on here. Do those brown looking resistors look familiar to you at all? They look very familiar to me, and I'm quite stoked with that. He uses the real Vishays on there, so that's really nice. And if you look here, you can see we've got Nishikon. We got the real Nishikons in this thing. And then he's also using a siliconized ohmite. So I believe this is siliconized ceramic or something like that, or I don't know. There's something about it. But this is actually the right type of resistor to use in this position here. So that is great. So he's using the real ohmites. He's using the real deal. And then down there, that little gold cap, that is actually a Nishikon as well, if it would focus. So we got the real deal stuff. This thing was put together right. I love it. Mr. Elam's 1849 killed it. He also provided me with the Mogami Flex, Super Flex stuff. So this is like the siliconized freaking wire. That stuff's good stuff. And then he actually sent me with silicone wire for the power, the B+ stuff. So super stoked about this. There's only one thing that I think is a bummer, I guess, and I don't know that it was his fault or not at all. It might just be that he didn't know, or I don't know. But you can see I have these knobs sitting around. I love my little cupcake knobs, but these guys here, the center does not appear to be on center with those, right? Kind of looks a little off, and they are just a little bit off. They're off by about 1/8 of an inch. These guys here, you can get them in different standoff values. This one looks like it's a 16th inch standoff. I have ordered already some 3/16 inch standoff, which should drop these up, or move them up, I should say, so they're in the same center line as these. And these are 1 1/8 inch centers. So I am super duper stoked about this, super excited. We're not going to drill any holes for this today until I get those guys put in there, but getting top grade parts, it's not that there's issues getting it, it's where do you find it, how available is it, and then what kind of constraints. Some places there's an MOA, which is a minimum order amount or something like that. Sometimes you gotta, it just depends on what you're looking for. Sometimes it's just, you know, like if you want to get this, DigiKey probably has it, or what's the other one, I can't remember the other one, Mouser, I think is what they actually call it, but you could probably find it from them. It's kind of a bitch to source all these things, especially from a single source. Getting them all from one place is almost impossible, so you end up having to shop around a bit and find them from 3 or 4 different sources. I don't know if this was hand stuffed by Elam or not. It looks like it might have been done, you know, at the company that he had build this for him. I don't know who does that kind of stuff, to be honest, but however he did it and however he sourced it, tits, man, very much awesome. And then of course he personalized the box for me here. So my hope is that I can talk him into creating more of these things, because if this works out as good as I know it will, I'm going to be using them quite a bit more. It works great too, because you can, in this case, kind of use it as a, even in some of my other designs where putting an effects loop in really doesn't make sense, this would work great, because I could just drop it in and it's just kind of turnkey in that instance, and I don't have to worry about messing with the tone so much. So proportions are everything. Yes, I care a lot. Everything has to have a place, and what does that saying go? A place for everything and everything with a place, or something, or everything in place. I'm hypercritical or anal retentive about that kind of stuff, so yeah, it to me it matters even if it doesn't matter. But you just kind of got to pick one and go sometimes. Like in this case here, it was just pick one, which is the worst of all the different evils. Probably neither of them, to be honest. So I mentioned that I already kind of made one of these as like a test run, so more or less that's all we're going to do today is just make a couple wires and, you know, answer questions and stuff like that. I did get the new things in the mail. They came today. For whatever reason, my other one started working again, so I'm kind of excited about that. All I ended up doing, interestingly enough, was just taking the end off, reseating it, and just kind of making sure everything was nice and tight, and it seems to be working now without issue, so Lord knows. We'll find out more later, I guess. But I'm going to get this one put away for the time being. There it goes. Get in your home. I still need to figure out where I want to put the grounding lug and a couple other small spots here and there. Yeah, well, no, that's true. I won't argue with you on that, but we can get some stuff done at least while we wait for other things to kind of come in and solidify, if you will. So we're going to cut the ground wire. I just kind of cut a length of it. This stuff is expendable, so I'm going to cut a nice long length of it, about the length of this other one here. Damn, I'm good. So just kind of bear with me. I'm actually going to move this out of the way, I think, because I don't really need it. Thank you. Where we're going, we don't need roads. I just need some space. So, anyway. How's everybody's weekend been so far? How it's going to work out, so... Well, it's... How do you explain it? It's not that I don't know how it's going to go or not. It's... I can't mess this up, right? So that's the downside to doing linear engineering, I guess you could call it that. With linear engineering, whatever you do, that is now permanence, right? So if you do anything else that, you know, basically once you do that, now you're stuck with that and there's no other way around it. So then you have to work around all those problems that you created. So I rather go a little bit slower and take a little more time and cut once, you know, measure 5 times and cut once, that sort of thing. It's maybe not the way to do it, but it's a way to do it. The big thing is that, yeah, it's not faster, but this really isn't about speed. At least for me, it's not necessarily about speed. As much as it would be nice to just go bada bing, bada boom, bada bang, in the long run, that's not really what this is about. Better done right than not at all. Or better done right than at all. I don't know. Something along those lines anyway. I think that will work quite dandily. All right. As I recall, there was something about this that I had to do. And I think what it was is I had to preload it. This one is actually meant for the ones that have the plastic on them already. And when I say already has the plastic on it, I mean they're not raw like this one is. So I need to either find different whatchamacallits or find different whatchamacallits. So I'm going to freaking put that right there, and then I'm going to get this where I want it in there. And we're going to load that up a little bit there. I'm trying to remember how I did it the other day. I might have gotten lucky, I don't know. All I know is that this thing goes in there in like an awkward kind of direction. And I can't remember exactly what direction that was. Something like this anyway. Yeah, it looks like it'll work. As I recall, it made it into like a perfect circle. Yeah, it is. Okay, cool. And then I ended up having to go back with, was it these guys? No, it wasn't those. It was this one, I think is what it was. I could do one of them, but I couldn't do both of them, is what it was. Yeah, that's what it is. So then we try to get everything smashed in there. Hulk smash. This is why having the right tools is importante, muy importante. Because when you don't have the right tools, you got to do everything like 3 or 4 times. Imagine that. And then this one gets crunched in. Alright, there you have it. So this one actually went pretty well here. You can see it pinched in on the wire. So that's how you want this side here to go, is you want it to kink in on the wire and it bites in. And then the other one doesn't really matter that much. I am going to solder that anyway, but for now we got something. What do I got here? I'm getting some text messages. Alright, so there's one. I only need one ground wire. The rest of them are going to be white and black. So we're going to coil this one back up and put it away. Let's see here. Oh, somebody's on their way out. I am shocked I'm getting people like that anyway. It's a 50-50. Yeah, you know, it's... I just kind of thought... Hey, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. You know, like I say, it probably in the end doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things, but at some point, I don't like doing things twice. And in this case, I can't afford to mess up. So, since I can't afford to mess up, we're just going to make sure that we measure 5 times and cut only once. So, in either case, what do I want? I want this guy. So this is actually 14 gauge. At least it better be 14 gauge. That might be a little long there. What do we got? We got another email coming through. Probably, I have not had any luck with freaking shipping lately. I don't know what the hell it is. I order something and it seems like for whatever reason they don't want to ship it like when they say they are. So I've had at least half a dozen freaking things this last week that did not ship like they said that they were going to. Pisses me off. So I've been getting a lot of emails telling me my stuff ain't coming. More or less what I'm getting at. I'm just going to skip over that other one. Well, you know what? I did like how it made it nice and round. So I will use it. I just got to remember how to keep putting it in there. It's easier upside down, I'll tell you that. Yeah, that'll work. Hola. Like a glove. Going one step further to add a salt. Yeah, well, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So, I don't know if it's necessarily necessary to do it, adding the solder. The one side is working like it's supposed to. So, at least for the most part. Do it one more time to make sure it does. So it's supposed to cut into the wire, which it's kind of doing, but I kind of missed it a little bit here. But it is pinching it like it is supposed to, so I'm not that hypercritical about it. There it goes. That time it did it. Oh no, I didn't. The other side did, but not the one. Whatever. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be soldered. So there. Let's see if this, as I recall, it works. It's just not ideal. It's not proper. I give up. I give up. We're moving on. It's just going to get soldered anyway. My understanding is that we will need technically 2 of those. So what I'm going to do, and I'll show it here in a minute, but I'm just going to make 2 of them this length and call it a day. We're going to make 2 that length, call it a day. I'm a different kind of crazy, that is a fact, so I don't know. I'm not taking offense to it. There is a little bit of wackadoodle built in. Kind of have to be crazy to do this, I think. Let's see here. I want this to go in just a little bit. Come on. There we are. And then you guys do the same. And if you don't mind. Thank you. Alright. Right there. That's right. I keep forgetting. I'm grabbing the wrong damn one every damn time. What's up with that? That one furked it up. Whatever. Let's try one more time, see if it does it right this time. There it is. That's the way it was supposed to do it. No, you do not. No, you do not. It's trying to work me. It's trying to work me. It's moving on me here. It's trying to anyway. I see what happened the last time. Alright. I see, says the blind man to the deaf person as he walks into the pole. There it is. Ha-ha! 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 Did I tell you I was in a good mood? I think I did. Today's been a good day. It's been a good freaking weekend, to be honest. It's been a good freaking weekend. Smitten like a kitten am I. The glory hole? You think so? No, I need to come up with a name though, Dale. I definitely do. I'm torn. I don't really want to go with the high roller. I know that that's kind of I know that that's kind of Grant's idea of perfection for a name, but if I can, I either prefer what are the words I'm looking for? I prefer either acronyms. Some of my amps don't have that. Oh, really? But one of them is called like the Sweet Little Sister, but then I just call it the SLS. I have another one that's called the DLB, which stands for Dirty Little Bastard. That kind of stuff, right? So try as I might, I don't know. I'm always torn on the names. I try to get other people to name them for me. It will not be named the Glory Hole. Don't worry. Trust me, it will not be called Glory Hole. But I don't know. I need to come up with a name here pretty quick because I have another problem about to change things for me. Is we're getting to a point here now where certain things can't be done until the back plate is made, which means I need to start designing the back plate. And if I don't have a name, it's gonna slow things down even further. So I need to come up with that pretty quick. So that's why you guys need to get into the comments there and start coming up with name ideas or naming conventions. No, further direction. One of these times I'm gonna frickin' get it right. I love it because this one makes it nice and round, like it curls it around the thing. This one here just finishes the job the way it's meant to be done. Unless you shoot it wrong like I just did. Darn it all to hell. Get in there like that. Alright. There it is. And then when you smash it flat, it cuts into the wire like it's supposed to. And the idea behind it cutting into the wire is that it causes it to literally grab it, as you can imagine. I need to go just a little bit deeper on the throat on that one. There it is. Love it. Loving it. And what you end up with is something like that, where it, see how it cut in there like that? And then we'll go back on the other side and we will be sure to solder it in, which I think I've only got one more to do here and we're kind of ready to close that up. That the high amendment. I was kind of thinking like the low tan or something like that. So the low tan is like a seven-headed beast or something like that. I believe that's the pronunciation of the name. This thing has 7 tubes in it, and it has seven knobs on the front. So I was like, 7 and 7, like low tan or something. And I haven't heard of that name before. I know someone, I think it was you, Riley, was saying that's some like other name that's has like mythical something or other. It's kind of like a Leviathan, I guess, is the term or the name. I could be wrong. I don't know. I'm just a freaking dude. I don't know diddly. I can barely make an amp. Then I still made a mess. I can barely make an amp. But when I do, they are freaking cool. When I do, they are freaking cool. There we go. Sorry as I think here too much. Alright, let's get this guy. I believe it goes like this. Yes, that's what it was. holla. I love it when it works like it's supposed to the first time. Okay, we're gonna take this one and square it up a little bit here. All right, I think that's good enough there. I believe I have most of what I need. So this one will go, let's kind of get all this stuff put aside here for a second. I'm pretty sure we're done with that for now. Let's get these out of the way. That's good enough for now. All right, so we'll just kind of show you what it is that we're actually looking to do here. All right, so what we've got here, this is our ground. So this will go from here to something probably down in there, right? So the ground thing comes out actually over here. So I'm either gonna put it down here somewhere or over there somewhere. I'm probably gonna shoot to the back corner, but this thing will go down underneath in such a way. I may actually even go straight with this one, so I might even redo it, but it'll come probably off the top or something like that and wrap around and get in there. Somehow or another, that'll get down in there. This is the safety ground here. This is the one that you want to break last. So of all the things, I need this one to work in such a way where it will go underneath, you know, the thing there and be the last thing to pull out if by any chance this thing here gets pulled out. It won't happen, but code, right? And then we got that shorter black one that I made. The shorter black one will come off the top there, so it'll come off the lead of this one, and it goes into the tip of our fuse here. So it's always fuse first. By the way, it's always fuse first. So you come off of this guy here, off the line connection, and that'll go and work its way into the tip. The tip is the one that you're supposed to use for that purpose. Then we're going to come out of this one, and so I need to make another shorter one, but we come out of this one, and then we go into what's going to be our thermistor thing. I still need to build that, so I need to cut this thing a little bit here and make it, I'm going to do it with 4 turrets, and then I'll put the thermistor on the center one, and the wire will go in on one side and out on the other. It'll go, you know, flow through the thermistor more or less, and it'll come out from around here and over. So little things like that. The raging demon. It's gonna be a rager. Now, I did show a sound sample of my amp. It is in the members only section, and it is a beast. It is a beast. Not this amp, it's a different one, but I'm just saying, like, I do have sound samples I'm starting to make now. So I do need to create one more short black wire that goes from here basically to there. So I just need to basically copy this one. So I'm going to do one more of those real quick. But in either case, we'll have one that comes out of that little bar bus thing there. It'll go up to the front here, and then it's got a switch and then come back around to go to this guy here. But you can kind of see where my problem is and why I have to come up with the back panel really quick. This thing is a solder only. I could not find one that wasn't unsolderable. Hey George, how's it going there? Name it the credit card abuser. That it might be. The Basilic. That's actually not a horrible name, but right. So it'll come from there, go to the thing, and then it's got to go back and go to this. But this thing here, once I solder it, I can't install the back plate again, right? So basically, I can't do that until I have the back plate made. So we have to get the back plate done before we can wire this thing up and power it on. So now you can kind of see why I'm starting to work all of this other little stuff out, because there are steps that need to be completed before we can move on to other steps. So I'm just going to make another short one here. And there we go. So let me get this thing out of the way again here. Need my space back. Laundry's done too. Hold on just a second. We're gonna swap the laundry over real quick. Never mind me while I do some work here without the I like to have nice, dry, and clean clothes when I go to work on Monday morning. So my apologies while I do some housework. Most exciting thing you've ever seen in your entire life, huh? Watching some guy do nothing while doing laundry. Alright, I think I got it. All the freaking little socks, man. So I'm one of those types. I have clean pairs of underwear and socks every day. And you go. Click. Alrighty. Sorry, we're done. Dryer's running. Okay, so one more of these to do and then we're kind of done with that side of things. Alright, what do we got? You're saving money by using electricity in the off hours. Yeah, there is that. I usually do it at night. It's like 4 o'clock for me, so it might be off peak hours. I don't know. I don't really ever pay attention to that, to be honest. I'm in that sort of area where we get screwed no matter what. They love to charge you for anything and everything. I'm going to cut this just a wee bit shorter here. I'm in the FU state. Pretty much. Come on, baby. There you go. And I'm sure there's a bunch of other Californians that feel the same way I do. Only California can do what California does. They love to tax the ever-living shit out of you. I mean, it's a beautiful place, don't get me wrong, but it's like, holy hell. There are just some things that are just egregious for no freaking reason whatsoever. Click. Alright, let's see here. And you right there. I love it. So let me show you what I'm talking about here. When you get it right, I haven't closed it in on itself yet, but when you get it right, you should be able to see the wires down in there. So it actually tore in, and now those little blades are sticking into the wire. The hope is then that when you close it up, this one is a little evil on the wire there, but when you close it up, you don't have any wire exposed, but now once you pinch it all together, right? So it's got to yank on the jacket, so it's got to pull the jacket off in order to pull it out. This one I kind of biffed it a little bit. I should probably redo it, to be honest. So when I did it, it pulled back a little bit. I'm going to redo this one because it's not good enough. Fail. Every now and then you just have a fail. But if you're not going to do it right, there's no point in doing it at all. Alright, so I got to get another one of these things out. Do. So I have a saying. Some people like it, some people don't. But more or less it goes, if it's not fun, it's not worth doing. And anything worth doing is worth doing right. So, makes sense, right? You should have fun doing what you're doing, but obviously, if you're going to do it, you better be doing it right too. I only have fun when I'm winning. I like to win, dang it. So I try not to play games I'm going to lose at. This guy. I call it staying in your lane. Which is to say that when you stay in your lane, you generally stay out of problems or stay out of trouble. Don't be a dick. That's the other big thing. Be cool. Be cool. Alright, so this one, Just gonna trim off some hairs that managed to sneak their way out. Thinking same thing. It's the terminal of the rubber boot. Yeah, that's where we wanted to go with them. Perfection again, of course. We all, yeah, all right. Armchair critics. Everybody, like, nobody does it better than you. Period. Like, I know it's tongue-in-cheek kind of joke. It's more sexually pointed, but you know what I mean. It's kind of true. Nobody does it better than you. You know what you like, and that's all there is to it. So if you can do it, you're the only one that likes it that way. All right, so let's go ahead and solder up some ends. I'm still going to use my other thing there, my original one. I'm not going to change it out yet. We'll keep using this one until it gives me problems. The tip on it in and of itself is still good, so I'm not in any kind of hurry to try to replace it if it's not actually broken yet. It's still good, so kind of want to clean this one up just a little bit more. There we are. All right, let's see here. That's a good temperature, methinks. I'm gonna do it off the edge here. Try to keep some of the splatter from getting on my my mat, if you will. Maybe I'm gonna go up a little hotter after all. So my apologies as I literally huff freaking solder and stuff. There it is. And I didn't even manage to melt the wire. So yeah, not much to it. It's just tacked on there. Hot as all hell though. Set that there for now. All right, just do that a few more times here. There it is. Whatever I did to that tip, I did mess with it a little bit, but whatever I did to it is definitely snapped that thing to life. I don't know if it was just running a little bit off prior or whatnot, but it's definitely whatever I did in there to try to repair it brought that thing to life for shizzle. So it's acting like it's hotter than it was before. Which may or may not be a good thing. I don't know. It just means getting used to it again. I was kind of used to it at the temperature that it used to play at, but whatever. That one I already did, so we got one more to go here. All right. Now, these are all soldered now. Yay. Turn that off. So, that's pretty much all I had planned for the day. Lex, how's it going, dude? Hold on just a second here. Let's just do some housework real quick here. Boop. Save. You are a cool cat as well. There we go. Save. So, I'm not sure you can use a rubber boot. I think you can. They come with rubber boots. So this is the rubber boot on that one. Now they make the ones that are already like integrated. So they have like the whatchamacallits on them already. I grabbed out like 10 more than I needed, but so the way I do it is I go in from the front side and just kind of drag it on through. There it is. In it goes. I can't. Now here's what I know for a fact is that with these here, I'm probably pushing my luck on actually soldering them to the connection. I think the only thing that makes it so it is legit is that it is technically a mechanical connection. So what I mean by that is which way do I want to go? This way. Technically speaking, my understanding is that you're not supposed to use soldered connections for your mains. They want it to be a mechanical connection, but this is a mechanical connection. That is my understanding. Now, I don't know how that relates to actually soldering the parts to it, the wire to it, I should say, but my understanding is that as long as it's a mechanical connection, it's okay. Now, I never understood why a mechanical connection was the preferred method, but I think more or less what it is that they want to make it so that if by some silly chance you do need to pull the thing out of the wall, I think their hope is that these mechanical connections will break or fail in such a way that it more easily separates itself from the power source. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't know for a fact, so don't quote me on that. I just know that when I see some of these other companies that are still soldering the IEC connectors, and it says that it's CE and all that other stuff on there, I get very leery very quick, because CE certification is a self-certification. It doesn't necessarily go through a rigorous UL listing type thing. Some of the different certifications out there does require destructive testing, which is to say that you have to throw your amp down a freaking thing. You got to run it through a certain number of heat cycles and all that stuff, but you need multiple units to do some of these tests because it is destructive testing. Not all of them are like that, but CE is more of a self-certification. It's not that it's cheap. You still have to jump through the hoops and do the legal rigmarole, but in either case, there we go. We got a bunch of wires now with a boot on them. So I could be wrong though, but I try to do things to code as much as I can, and I do it to the most stringent code that I can find. So like in the Americas, let's do a little bit of chitty chat here. In the Americas, technically, you don't have to have a double pull single throw switch, right? So this one here breaks both the line and the neutral. You don't have to have that. You only have to break the line in America. In Europe, you have to break both the line and the neutral. Makes sense. So that's the reason I do that, is because to me that is the safest way to do it, is to break the line and the neutral. Interestingly enough, Euro standards and Euro electrical grid stuff is actually better than the Americas. The 120 thing that we got going over here is a little bit, it's not exactly the most safe version, I guess you could say. The way we do things is a little bit off. So there are some things that Europe has gotten better. But in either case, there is that. So now what we got is these two short ones here. So these two short ones will be one that feeds into the fuse. It'll come from the fuse and go into our thermistor there. From the thermistor, it will go to the switch. From the switch, it will come back and go into this guy. And then this guy here will have the wires that come from the transformer to set the voltages. Same with the white. So the white needs to go there and back. So from here, we'll come out of this guy here. All right, we'll come off of our little PEM, which is our power entry module. We'll go into the switch, and then we'll go from the switch back to the other side of this here. There you have it. Makes sense? That's why we made so many of these things. And then, of course, the ground we already spoke about. So now we have all the wires made. We talked a little bit about the heater wiring. I guess one thing that we could do is start getting ahead on the wiring for the, where did I put it? Oh, I put it back up in there, for the effects loop. Since I do know now that the centers are 1 1/8, I guess we can kind of mark that out, but let's see here. This is oh, nice. To not be susceptible to corrosion. That makes sense. So I'm doing good then. And so technically speaking, I can't sell my stuff I'm not ROHS certified. I'm probably not even CE certified. I use leaded solder. Leaded solder is better than any of that non-leaded shit any day of the week. You cannot argue with me on that. Leaded solder for the win. But that means it's technically not legit in terms of, selling across, But we're not selling this thing. We're giving it away. So, and I'm pushing my luck. But if I were to try to go international, I'd have to consider using non-leaded. So if I'm going to sell to somebody in the European states or countries, yeah, I'd have to change some of the rules a little bit. But that stuff that you get from, here's another thing, like anything that comes out of bad boutique amp distribution, all that stuff, they're ROHS and CE certified, all that jazz. That is unleaded solder. So it is subpar solder. Just saying. The leaded solder for the win, all right? Is that or silver? No, so it's not the kind of silver soldering that you're thinking about in that regard. So this one's not a good one. This is my new one. I did get the new solder in. I figured I might as well burn that stuff up. Let's get this thing open. See if I can do it without tearing up the lettering. Yikes. So I try to take my finger out with me. Can't cut me. There it is. That's the nice stuff there. Look at the difference of that. It's almost like double the thickness. That stuff works okay. It's growing on me. It gives me a hell of a lot more solder than I need. So this one is 60/40. Now, there was a gentleman, Forgotten Gear Restorations. He was on here the other day. He has a video, and he posted the other day that there's a reason that he uses the 6337 or whatever it is. Eutectic. I think it's eutectic is the other word or something like that. I don't know about all that crap. Like, there's a reason he uses it. I don't know enough about either one to be like 60/40 is not good enough. I'm used to the way this one works. There's nothing wrong with this. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. This is the same stuff Psionic Audio uses. So, Lyle, if it's good enough for Lyle, it's good enough for me. Now, whether or not that eutectic stuff is better, I don't know. I get the feeling even if it is 6337, it's still not legal anywhere else in the world. So I can't remember the stuff that he's using is leaded or not. But in either case, I don't know. One of these days I'll try it out. But I don't know if it's the war or whatnot. But this stuff is getting pricey. This thing here, this 1 pound spool was 50 something bucks. 60 something after shipping. So, yeah, not cheap. Huckleberry, thank you for coming in. I know it's going to be great because it has to be, because it can't leave this place until it's great. And unfortunately, I don't have time on my hands for this one. So we're going to make sure we get it right, and we're going to make it, we're going to make it good. So hold on here as we do some stuff. But thank you for coming in and checking things out. I think I've reached another milestone today. We have the largest number of concurrent viewers I think I've ever had, which is crazy to me. So thank you so much. I don't know that there was anything else that I was planning on doing today. I know this is kind of less than fun, but specific. Yeah, well, probably. I don't know. I just want to make it to the best standard. That's the big thing, is making it to the best standard. So I know that's, technically speaking, this isn't the best standard because it's not sellable. But you know what? Right now, I'm giving them away, and since I'm giving them away, I'll do it how I want. But I do kind of want to talk a little bit about this other amp. Since we're here and we're doing some other things, I'm not going to show it to you. Like, you're not going to get to see it, but we'll talk about it a little bit. This guy is done. So this is a 50 watt design. It's got EL34s, Andy's favorite. It's more or less a train wreck. If you're interested in hearing what it sounds like, become a subscriber. Or a member, I should say. It's a member. It's up to you if you want. It's only $6 a month. which is kind of a joke. I think I need to go in there and change that, to be honest. But this thing here is mean, and it does the clean thing. So it's based more or less now kind of off of a train wreck. I really wanted to figure out, yeah, this one's a scratch build all the way. That's all we do. So I wanted to try to get a wrap around what Ken Fisher was up to, and I think I've succeeded in it. The problem is that most people just copy the circuit, and everybody wants to put a master volume in it. This one does have a master volume, but you can't just put a master volume in some of these amps and expect them to work. The reason is there's a reason why they made the amp the way that they did. And my understanding, after fiddling around with it for a couple years, is that he intended for you to get the volume that you wanted and the gain that you wanted just with the volume control, period. You turned it up until you got the distortion you wanted, and whatever loudness it was, that was it. If you started turning it up beyond that, it would turn into a howling mess of destruction. There's a reason for that. So this one's been tamed down, if you will, to make it so it's not so it's not out of control. You can actually dime this thing, and it is very stable, but it does the beans. So we'll show more of this one later, but that's what I've been up to in my spare time, if you will. So let's just do what the internet of the show. What was that, Mr. Lone Dog? What do we got? I can build this computer they were asking for. I know that the computer that got them to the moon was less than what we got here. Put together an elaborate drinking machine. Oh, perfect. Perfect. Speaking of drinking machines, that's me. You know what? That makes complete sense, though. What was it I saw? I went to CES a couple years ago, and they had a mixology machine. Like, it would mix you a Moscow Mule or a margarita or something like that. So you'd actually just load it up with your drink of choice and, all your juices and stuff, and it would just mix you the perfect cocktail. So for the giveaway build, this guy here, let me bring it back into sight so everybody can kind of see what's going on. For this guy here, it's higher gain. It's still not going to be like, an Angle Powerball level of gain. It's not going to be like a 5150 kind of level of gain. It'll be high gain. It's just not going to be that kind of high gain. We're not trying to just suit, where's the ice? No. We drink it the way it comes out of the bottle, my man. Room temperature. I like my alcohol like I like my women, not watered down. I'm teasing, I'm kidding, bad taste, but I find it just best right out of the bottle. And you can see all the nice amber colors. It looks a little off kilter here on the camera over there, but pure is the way, right? Okay, that makes sense. Hell yeah. I mean, if you can just tell it to make you a Moscow Mule, no matter what language it's in, it's going to be a Moscow Mule. Neat is, yes, very, very true, Dale. How are you feeling, Dale? I hope everything's well. So I guess the cat's kind of out of the bag. The other night I was talking about how years ago I got a job done to make it so I can't have any more babies. It was done intentionally. I was at that age where making babies wasn't a thing anymore. And, impunity and all. But, so for me, now I know this is a completely different case than in your instance, but what I can tell you is that the first day was not that bad. The second day, it was a little sore. Where I ran into a problem is that I, kind of maybe like you, I just, don't know when enough is enough, perhaps. And I'm a sound engineer, so I work, right? And part of my job is to move equipment all over the place. So 2 days later, I'm at a job, and fuck if they weren't running me around. I was doing a wedding, and everything was out in the middle of a freaking field and stuff like that. So I had to move equipment from the loading area all the way out to the field. So it was like basically walking football fields. And next thing you know, it's like that. It hits you in the gut. Like for me, it was all in the gut and it just hurt. It wasn't like a sharp pain. It was like a dull pain. But it's like somebody squeezing those things tighter and tighter and tighter, and it just hurts. And it hurts, and it just starts getting your stomach all warm and pissed off. And then you start walking funny. And I started getting a little bit short, I guess, with some of the musicians because they were making me do stupid stuff. And he's like, dude, what's the matter? I was like, dude, I freaking just... He's all, okay, hold on, Luke, hold on. Go take your pills, come back in 10 minutes, and hopefully you'll be in a better mood. Best so far, that's good, man. I'm glad to hear that. So yeah, I took my pain pill, and it took the edge off enough to at least get through the rest of the day. But of course, by that point in time, most all the hard work was done. Yeah, it's a dull pain. It's literally like getting kneed right in the freaking twig and berries. It sucked. It sucked. It's not bad. It's a dull pain, but it's like that whole area is just like, But once you get through that and everything's normal again, it's game on. So other things that are going to happen here, and I may have blown it. I probably should have put different. No, we're going to be all right. I'll probably have to redo some of these. You refused them. Well, I know that you have some not you yourself has history, but you know of people with history. I'm looking for something that I can't get to right now. So I normally run a dual blade thing on these, so I might have to redo the ends on a couple of these, but we'll deal with that later. So I know that you don't want to deal with the monkeys on anybody's back. I'm not saying that you have that problem, but I know that you're aware of some people out there that do. It's, I don't know. I don't have that kind of thing with me, I guess. I don't know. For me, it's like I can do it once and never have to bother with it again. I'm one of those types that I can have a glass and call it a night and be happy with that. I'm lucky in that regard. So I know not everybody's like that. So yeah. And I know that, like, my wife, she had a challenging era for a bit. She ended up going to pain management. Pain management, as far as I'm concerned, is like the worst thing ever. They call it pain management for a reason. Like, their idea is to just shut you up. So here, take this pill and get out of here. So they give you these nasty ass pills to make it so you're comfortable and don't bother them anymore. But it seems like everything is class 1 or whatever the hell they call it. And that's the problem, is then you end up with a bunch of people that are just fiending for that next Vicodin pill or whatever the hell it is. Like I say, I'm fortunate. Yeah, I don't have that bug in me, I guess. So I don't know what it is. But anyway, enough of that subject. Let's work out a name on this thing. I got enough of you guys here. There's like 19 of you, something like that, 17 of you. Let's work out a name for this amp. We have to come up with a name, so let's bang that out. Right now, high on the list, it's High Roller. Thumbs up for the High Roller. I just lost 5 views. I know, right? I'm the hairless breed though, so I don't have any hair on my chest. One of those kind of. Yeah, I feel sick. Dale, dude, I hope you feel better. I know that sucks. I mean, my experience was completely different from yours, so I don't want you to think I'm trying to relay anything or relate anything to you. Totally different circumstance, but I kind of know how you feel. And pain management, nobody should do that. Just, I know it hurts, but try to work around it. Anything you can to stay out of pain management, do that. Puka is a mythical. We're not calling it Puka, Riley. And Riley, I know that you already answered me in your thread, but I'm telling you right now, parallel triode for the win. 180K is probably going to work pretty well. I think you're probably, if you want to get the snot back that you feel like you were missing, you're going to want to go with 220. The big part is the cathode resistor. The parallel triode is very responsive to the cathode resistor, where you can go almost a whole generation up with, or you can make a pretty large jump with a normal triode. With the parallel triode, it seems like even the small incremental differences makes a difference. I like it right around 1.5K, so you kind of cool it down a little bit, interestingly enough. 2.2 is actually really kind of cool if you want to get some of that glue under the fingers. If you really want to have like that bubbly feel, a 2.2K will take you there. As far as the plate resistor goes, it doesn't seem to tie or correlate the way that it does with a normal triode, the same way as it does with a parallel triode. Pretty much you use the cathode resistor for the feel, and you use the plate resistor to get the drive. And it's that simple. It doesn't seem to matter if you go up in value with a low one on the cathode. If you go with a higher value plate resistor, it still keeps that bubbly kind of that feel, but with the drive. So think about amplifiers and speak other products you've seen that catches your eye. All right. So this is the thing that sucks, because we have to name the amp before we can actually hear it and play it. And that's part of the challenge. So I have never made an amp like this before. The closest one is the one I just showed you. That one has 3 stages of gain in it. It's got a parallel triode on the front end that pushes 2 other triodes. And then it goes into the phase inverter. Now that one still has phase inverter distortion. This one will not have phase inverter distortion. This is all preamp gain. So I assume it's going to be a lot like, it's kind of being modeled after Dumble. That's why I was kind of calling this thing a dumb watt, or a dim. I was thinking possibly like a dimwit. Or we could call it the DW. I don't know. I like acronyms, but that's why I try to find something that was relative to what's going on here. It's got 7 knobs and it's got 7 tubes. So why not the Lotan or the Leviathan or something like that? Triton. I could go with Triton. Well, it's not gonna. It is gonna be a tone monster, but we can't do the tone monster. SAE. Okay, hell yeah. Things that catch my eye. I like acronyms. So, like, if it were SEL or single-ended lead, right? You can call it the SEL 10 or something like that. I'm just saying, single-ended lead. Things like that. But I like single word things or acronyms. I don't like it to be like high roller. That's 2 words and it's a lot of space to fill up. I mean, we could call it, I don't know, Lucky 7 or something like that. We call it the L7. Legacy 7. I don't know. Scientific audio engineering. That's actually not too bad. SAE. Call it the SAE 50. Leviathan is one it was on the short list. Apparently I got a lisp today. Okay guys. I need to slow down a little bit. I'm getting excited. This is one of the largest crowds I've had, so it's nice, a perfect time to get everybody kind of pooling together to try to work out a name. So right now, Banshee would probably be a good one. Actually, the Banshee, well, no, that one's going to be called the RR. So the one that I put out here on the bench earlier is called the Red Rocket. I didn't name it that. As I mentioned, I don't like 2-word names. So that one's going to be called the RR. So it'll be the RR50. But new acoustic dimensions. Yeah, right? I like Leviathan. Leviathan is hanging out strong with me right now. And I do live in a coastal city, so I mean, I have a beach within almost a stone's throw away from my house right now. Just asking for a friend. I think about adding the model number. Yeah, no, I would. That's just it. So like a SLA, this, I know that that's the NASA thing or whatever, like what they have out there for, I I don't know what the acronym stands for. I know that it has to do with a launch pad. I can't remember what the other parts of the acronyms are, but launch something or other. But I live close enough that I get to see and hear and feel a lot of the Starlink launches, I guess, if you will. So Elon's not too far from me at any given point in time. 2030. What? NAD? 2030. What is an NAD, though? I need to figure out what that is. D7? Okay. I'm still kind of leaning towards Leviathan. Sorry, I'm looking over here at your comments and not at you in the camera. I apologize. I know it always kind of looks like I'm looking off, but I'm trying to keep up with the comments. Let's see here. My home. Oh, okay. Hi-fi. Interesting. Okay. So here's a funny story. As an audio engineer of 25 plus years, I do not own a home theater system. I literally am looking at like 60 grand worth of equipment, like off to my right over here, and it does not get used for personal reasons whatsoever. It's the weirdest thing. I don't even have a stereo system in my car. It's like I'm like a doctor, but as soon as I get off of work, like I don't even want to think about work. So it's funny, like I'm using a sound bar. It's behind my green screen here. I use a sound bar for my little radio system in the garage. In my living room, it's just another piece of shit sound bar. I'm not doing 7.1 surround sound or nothing like that. None of that crap. They ain't got no time for that. Okay, so we got High Roller on the bench. We've got Leviathan on the bench. I haven't heard really any other ones. Banshee might be a good one. Although I don't think this one's going to be quite the screamer. I get the feeling it's going to be creamier more than screamy. Don't even. What sounds like blasphemy? Skeet, 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 mother. No. I kid. If only we had some women in the group. Where did Huckle go? We need the balance of the females in here. Somebody go get Maria and get her on. Maria is the sweetest woman on the planet. I swear to God. Like, she's got just the perfect level of like humility and snap. Like, holy cow, dude. I love it when she freaking zings. When she zings, it's a good one. Such a sweet lady. Anyway. Dimension 7. D7, okay. Yeah, we could go that way. What's another like term for dimension? We're not gonna go interstellar here, but Huckle, you're here. Thank you. What do you think? What do you have in mind? Any ideas? So we'll put some more of this stuff together so we can kind of get an idea of what it's gonna look like. But so this is gonna go like that. Click. Let's go like that. That one's a tight one. That one might not come back out. Hold on. Then this is gonna go right here like this. I need to get the thing out of the way. There. That's gonna go there like that. That one's already in. Let's get the other one. So you can see this thing's gonna be a pretty tight little fit. There's a lot going on in there. How do you like them apples? I guess I could load up the thing. I thought about maybe soldering this today, but I kind of want to push things off. I need to push things off a little bit. We're stalling for time, more or less, is what we're doing. So just to clarify what this amp is going to kind of be. It's a mix between a high watt DR504, which is a 50 watt high watt, and a Dumble ODS, if you want to call it that. Now it's not going to have the FET thing in there, so I don't do solid state like that. So what I mean by Dumble is that Dumble has an overdrive special version. It's basically got 4 gain stages. That's kind of how he runs it. 4 gain stages. So this one's going to have 4 gain stages, except for it's totally my own little way. I'm using a parallel triode in V1, which is this guy right here, and I'm using a parallel triode in V3, which is that guy right there. So we're going to run 2 parallel triodes in this thing. Another good example of an amp that has multiple parallel triodes in it is a matchless Chieftain. It's a pretty cool little amp, and I actually played one once before. It's not a high gain amp. It only has, I think, three parallel triode stages in it. Maybe 5. He does it really weird. So he uses a parallel triode to drive the effects loop, and then he recovers with another parallel triode. So it's like a butt ton of parallel triodes, but I wouldn't do it that way. So it's a tube-driven effects loop in that thing, but the effects loop doesn't really count because they're not actually gain stages per se. But needless to say, it's going to have 4 gain stages, but 2 of them will be parallel triodes. This center one right here, that guy, is just going to be your standard triodes, right? So you just run it just like that. So my company name is Legacy Amplification. Thank you. Sorry, I'm not trying to ignore you guys, but so the high watt output section is, I'm not neutering that. That is like the tried, true, tested design. We know that it works. There's no point in trying to reinvent the wheel now. What I did do differently was I over-filtered it, so I have probably 2x the amount of filtering than what came in the original high watt. I am using a dual bias type system. That's what these 2 pots here are, the one that's crooked. So I can bias each of the power tubes independently. So that's a little bit different. And then of course I'm using a slightly different voltage. It's LD7. Yeah, we can do that. Dimension 7. Legacy Dimension 7. I'm down with that. I can put that on a short list. So we've got High Roller, we've got Leviathan, and we've got Legacy LD7. We can call it LD7-50 or something like that. The dash 50 is for obvious reason 50 watts. So lots of filtering for both the primary reservoir and the screen node. So the screen node is going to be pretty stout on this thing. We're running slightly lower than normal voltages though. So instead of having 450 volts on the plates of the power tubes, we're going to have about 400 to 410 is what I suspect. Somewhere in that range. Riley's got a bet with me right now, and I haven't seen Riley pop up in a minute, but Riley's saying I'm going to probably end up closer to 400, and I think he's saying over 420. But I think unloaded, so unloaded, which means no tubes in the amp at all, it's just on. I think it'll land at about 425 volts, thereabouts, unloaded. After I put all the tubes in there and all that fun stuff, get it biased in, I think I'm going to be landing closer to 400. I'm shooting for no lower than 400. That's my absolute minimum, so I need to be better than 400, but I'm shooting for between 405 and 410. Now the reason is that once I breach 400 volts on the plates, I am exceeding 50 watts of straight up raw power. So this thing is easily going to be a 60 watt amp. Hands down, it's a 60 watt amp at normal like gain levels. If you dime it all the way up, which I don't think you'll want to because it'll be really loud, it'll easily plop out 60 plus watts of power. Oh, there's Riley. Riley, welcome back. I think it just has to do with that there's 7 tubes in it. So I've got 7 tubes and 7 knobs. Well, 7 knobs and 7 tubes. That's why I was kind of thinking Leviathan or Lotan or whatever. It's 7. It's a 7-headed beast. That thing, right? Huck, thank you so much for coming in. You have a wonderful evening as well. 7 is a lucky number, so I think that's not why Grant was on the whole high roller thing. Here's the story behind Grant's reason for naming it the high roller. So maybe we could call it the HR50 or something like that, but that sounds like human resources to me. So he was always teasing that I'm rolling budget dice, and it has to do with me building amps that are more budget friendly as compared to Andy's Destroyer or whatever, the 400 watt amp that he just finished building. So he was teasing me for a little bit because I just make, you know, less wattage, lower wattage amps. So this isn't necessarily my highest wattage amp that I've made. It's just, I've already have a 50 watt design, but this will be another 50 watt design. A little over 50 watts, but we're calling it a 50 watt. In either case, that's why he thought high roller, because I kind of live out in the West. Western theme is another thing. I usually code name my amps Western themed things. This is the only exception. This one I was calling the dumb watt, because it's a dumble and a high watt, so dumb watt was just tongue-in-cheek for me. But so this is the only one I haven't given kind of like a Western code name. And for me, it's just that if the schematics ever get spilled out, you just don't really know what they actually are unless you have both to look at. So all you need is 50 watts. I agree. 50 watts is kind of the end of the road. 100 watts is cool, don't get me wrong, but I have never played a 100 watt amp on 10. Never. Ever, ever, ever. 50 watt amps, all the ones I've ever had, the highest I've ever even gotten them was like halfway up the knob. After that, they start getting really mushy and just, they weren't doing anything for me anymore anyway. They weren't getting louder, they were just getting mushy. I tend to design my amps so you can dime them all the way up, so they are dumbed down to the degree where when you dime them all the way up, they play nice. This one will be a little bit different because it's not really designed the same way. So, what's the desert called in Cali? No, there's a couple different ones. Dang it. It was on the tip of my tongue. There's these, dang it. Hold on, we can find this out. AC's in the house. What is up? M7 in California. So the three major deserts are the Sonoran, the Mojave, and the other one that I think everybody's trying to think about isn't on here. They call it the Colorado Desert, but that's not the one I was thinking of. Fuck, I know the name. It's on the tip of my tongue. Not Moab. Deserts of California. Maybe that'll be the one. So there's Mono, Inyo, Riverside, Inland Empire, Great Basin. There's more than that, though. It's not Moab. It's one where all the freaking whatchamacallits. Yeah, there's 7 tubes. Still collecting background. That's all good, man. No worries. If we use the term LD7, what would be the reference of 7? So 7 would be number of tubes, number of knobs. So we got 7 of both, more or less. I don't count the ones on the back because they're not really usable knobs, with the exception of our effects loop. So AC, you missed it unless you watched the beginning of the video. This is the effects loop, and that adds another couple knobs. Now it does have push-pull. I didn't really mention that earlier, but this is engaged. That is bypassed. So it's got a push-pull bypass, and this one here does push-pull polarity inversion. So normal polarity is in, inverted polarity is out. Make sense? So, and then of course adjustable level for each. So this thing is going to be amazeballs. And that is my word, just so you know. Amazeballs. Plus it's lucky. Hell yeah, dude, super cool. I'm super excited about that. I don't know, so far everything I've had going on with this thing has been pretty lucky. Like everything's kind of worked out. That could still bite me in the ass. Like this is pretty tight in here right now. Like you have to think there's wires that are coming out of these spots right here that are literally dropping straight down. Like literally going, I mean that's less than 1/4 of an inch. That is tight. Tight like a tiger. So a lot of short runs. You want to talk about short runs? Look at my short runs. How do you like them short runs? Oh, here's a list of more of the stuff I was thinking of. Needles is one of them. Ridgecrest, Palm Springs, obviously Coachella. I thought it started with like a Z or something or whatnot. I don't know, Glamith or something like that. Maybe that's what it was. No, that's Glamith Falls. I don't know, whatever. 72, vote for 77, like LD 77 or LDE. Yeah. Since just knowing the numbers, you can decipher what the amp has in it. Maybe. I mean, that's not necessarily where I was trying to go. Like, I don't even have a name for my 18 watt design, which is technically a production amp. Like, I've already got 3 or 4 of them out there in the world. One of them is just named bespoke for the client himself. The other ones just are built. The LD7-50 is kind of what I was leaning towards. So legacy design, 7 tube, 50 watt, right? I don't know. As far as the naming convention, I'm not stuck on anything in particular. It's just like my little 5 watt design that's called the SLS. It stands for Sweet Little Sister. So SLS-5, right? It's the SLS-5. And then I have another 5 watt model that's based on the Champ. It's called the DLB-5, right? Dirty Little Bastard 5 watt. That kind of thing. So I am not stuck on a particular naming convention at this point. At some point, I'm certain I'm going to have to come up with some sort of thing that is pretty stuck to me. Not me, but legacy amplification, at least anyway. LDE, LD77. That's some kind of reference. I don't know what the E would stand for. LD7. I'm kind of liking it, though. Okay, I gotcha. All right, LD7. Or this LD77. So the only reason I wouldn't go with 77 is I think people would try to confuse it with 77 watts. I know that 7 and 7 means 7 tubes, 7 knobs, but the LD7-50 kind of works for me. I kind of like that. Right now, that one's rolling off the tongue, and you can call it legacy design. I don't know. Technically, this would be. Hold on, wait a second. Let me brain fart for a second. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is my 7th design. This is my 7th design. Let me double check. Let me recount in my head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The Dirty Little Bastard. Yeah. This is my 7th design, so the LD7 would fit. Imagine that. What a happy coinkydink. I did not even notice that. LD750 is kind of rolling off the tongue right now. So legacy amplification, LAD7, maybe even, I don't know. Legacy design 7-50. I'm down with that. I kind of like it. It has been determined. I think we're going to call it the LD7-50. That great job, you guys. Thank you so much. There's a reason that we do these lives, and this is the best thing ever. Thank you, guys. So we LD7-50. Sorry, John of Grant Us Glorious Tone, but you've been outmoded with the high roller. Interestingly enough, I think we're going to go with LD7-50. I'll try to. I think we'll just do LD. We could do LD-750, but I think LD7-50 would be the better way to go. We'll kind of work on a layout for the naming, or like, you know, the actual look or whatnot, on how it might look. I mean, obviously it's meant to be a 50 watt amp, so, you know, maybe we'll make the 50 a little bit bigger and we'll just do LD7. I don't know, we'll figure that out. But now we have at least an idea of where we're going to go with it. LD750. Maybe we can just do it all in one. It almost rolls off the tongue anyway, LD750. Nobody's going to know what the fuck it means, except for us, because we're the only ones here. Ah! And with that, yeah, just like that, Offset. And just like that, it is time for a drink. Yes, Lex, exactly, just like that. Cheers. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. So I'll start slamming together some stuff here for that here pretty quick. Because as I'd already mentioned, I do need to get kind of faceplates done. As I said, this thing has to be soldered in, and once you solder it in, it's permanent. So that means that the plate has to go on first, and that means I need to come up with some dimensions. We've already kind of got most of all that, so here we are here. This is our impedance selector. This is our speaker 1, speaker 2. These are parallel. They're just going to be speaker outputs. Then the effects loop will land here. It, interestingly enough, fits best inside of the amp, I believe, like that, which sucks because you don't get to see all the stuff when you have it turned over, right? Because it'll be in this orientation here. But it works best in this orientation here. So that'll land kind of in this general vicinity, right? And the hope is that I can get it so it's centered on everything so they'll all be straight across. There's a lot going on back there. These are our bias adjusters there. So you can bias. They will correlate like you see them. And right there, those dots there, that's where the pins will go for you to probe it. So there'll be a red one that goes there, all right? And another red one that goes there. So you can probe each one. And then over here, you'll notice there's two. Over here, there'll be the big one there, which is the HT. And then we'll put the black one at the top. So the HT will go there. So this one will have all the hot, angry pixies on it. So you can actually measure the plate voltage, and then the ground will go there. So you'll have ground, hot, hot, and then this one there is actually the plate voltage. Now what's nice about this one here too, is if you unplug the amp and let it discharge, you can use this one to measure your the words that I'm trying to shoot for. Is you could use it to measure the resistance of your primary. It only gets you one side, but if you wanted to use it for that, you could kind of guesstimate what the actual flow through your tube would be. I don't know. Well, I had to flip-flop these. Luckily, they use the same size holes, so it just made more sense to put the fuse on the left-hand side. It's the left-hand side when you're looking at it from the back. It's on. I know it's on the right here, but so fuse will be there. Voltage selector. Voltage selector is really cool. That will work. I won't have really a way to test it, but I've read up on it 100 different ways. Yeah. So, anyways, all marketing techniques. Let's see here. I got to read back a little bit. My apologies. If you promote the amp, you can also mention. Okay. Yep. Okay, yeah. So, I haven't worked on that. I don't have enough history yet for anybody to know who the hell I am. The fact that I got all you guys here and had as many viewers at one point in time that I did have is we're starting to gain a little bit of steam. I broke 3,100 subscribers this last week. I believe it was at like 30.99 or something. It was like sticking at like 3,103 for a while, and then it kind of broke over 110. To mention Dumbwatt, yeah. Okay, yeah, I think we're going with LD7-50. So that's just going to be what it is. The PEM is going to go here. I'm super stoked with the PEM. Man, I have a lot of high hopes for this amp. I really pray that it's going to go the way that I'm imagining it. So now you can see here why I went with the right angle. There's not a whole lot of space in there. So we kind of got to go with the right angles to make it so that they will fit. Now this will stick out a little bit further. So once we put the plate in there, it'll be another 1/16 of an inch in this way. So those will fit there. It'll come back enough. It'll clear these things. I'm confident in that. So nothing to worry about there. I love it too. I'm loving it. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Can't say that marketing campaign didn't work. All right. Well, with all that being said, there's not much left in purpose for this live other than hanging out with you guys. So I'm down to hang out if you guys want to hang out some more. If not, then perhaps we can call it a day. But I'll answer some questions if anybody's got any questions. We've worked out some of the major details. LD750. All right, Riley, dude, play with that parallel triode some more. Get rid of that cap to ground. That's just doing, I mean, I know it's only the highest of high frequencies, but another thing you got to realize about the parallel triode is that it doubles the Miller capacitance. So you've almost got enough Miller capacitance with just a 10K there to make it like having a 22. I think a 22K is all you need to get to where radio frequencies aren't a problem anymore. It gets you just outside of the 20 kilohertz audio range. So with the 15K that you currently have, honest to God, you probably are down into the, upper teens at least anyway, in terms of roll off on the high frequencies. So you're good there. You don't have to worry about that. You're not going to catch Radio Disney if you get rid of that cap to ground. So do that. I think that'll help brighten it up a little bit. Enough anyway. Not that it's going to matter. It's not going to matter. You shouldn't hear it technically, but if you feel like you need a little more push or a little more clarity out of it, go with a 10K instead of the 15, and I think you'll like it. So why wouldn't I make my own effects loop? I'm going to be honest in saying I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. Right? Like, this is something else, right? This is about all the attention I can put in on something. Like, it's one thing to design an amplifier, but to design an amplifier and an effects loop kind of in tandem is just beyond me, because there's somebody out there that's already kind of doing this. Part two is I'm really not into effects loops. I don't like them. So since I don't like it, I'm not really going to try to perfect one. That's kind of a big part of it as well, is somebody else has already done it. Let them do it. Somebody else is better at that job than I am. I am not the best at what I do. I'm just really good at what I do. So I'm not trying to be really good at everything. You can't be really good at everything. You can be good, but you can't be really good. So I don't want to try to spend all my time and energy focusing on this and not on the other things that just, you know what I mean? Like, somebody out there has probably already done what I've done, right? To some degree. And somebody's probably already done this. It's just nobody knows of it. The 3,000 of you that are on my channel, maybe, perhaps. But can I do as good or a better of a job on this? Maybe, maybe not. So it sounds to me like Mr. Elam, I'm going to call him by his YouTube name. I'm not going to give him up. But it sounds to me like he might already be doing this kind of stuff already anyway. Like, this might be why it worked so well for him in such a short period of time. He knows where to source the parts. He knows where to call in these orders to have these PCBs made, etc., etc. All those little things. Like, not everybody is that good at that kind of stuff, and I'm not going to claim that I am. When it comes to this kind of stuff, all day, every day, I can do that, no problem. I know where to source the parts that I want for this kind of stuff. So to over-explain something that simple is somebody out there is already better than I am at it. So let them do it and give them credit. I'm not trying to be God over here. Trust you me, I'm not. Lone Dog was saying earlier, like, I'm, overcomplicating a lot of these things. And it's true, I'm probably overcomplicating it, but I don't want there to be an excuse for it to be a sucky product. You know what I mean? So, talking to the company's designer and the master engineer. Yeah, pretty much, exactly that. You're getting to know me at a more personal level. That, and there's somebody out there that's already done it too. There's, like I say, there's no point in trying to reinvent the wheel. So I kind of did something like that, Lone Dog. I did a video a while back that kind of talks a little, not so much in detail and depth. Like, it'd be cool to do something like that, and I might try to do something like that, and do like a book report, if you will, on like Ken Fisher, a book report on Mark Sampson, a book report on David Reeves, like a little book report, put them all together. 5-Watt World kind of already does something similar to that in a way, because he does like the whole this amp, that amp, and the other. So it'd be nice, but some of these designers are just, it's not that they're not that interesting. I said it before, like I may have mentioned it in the last video even too, is that, the video that I'm referring to that I made is called "Why Are Guitar Amp Designers So Weird?" And it was like a tongue-in-cheek way of saying that a lot of the ones that you are interested in, the amps that you want to own, and the ones that are famous, are kind of weird. Some of them not as weird. Mark Sampson of Matchless fame, he's not quite that weird. He's a pretty normal cat, but people like his amps, and he made some really cool stuff. I have a couple of his design ideas that I use regularly, so. For me, it's, as you might be able to tell, it's like what works best. I like low noise. There's this particular sound in my head and I want to get there. My whole thing with an amplifier design is that it can't just do a thing. It has to do the thing. I don't feel that it's possible to really make an amp that does everything. It's extremely difficult. We're talking about an amp that's just overtly complicated, right? To have the purest of pure clean channels, right? The most glorious clean channel. To have a really wonderful crunch channel. Like, it's really difficult to get those two in and of themselves, and then to have like the super screaming high gain channel that everybody's going to want. Like, it's really difficult to put all three of those in an amp without having 3 entire like channel paths or whatever. Hey, Sloth, there you go. You're here now anyway. That's all that matters. You know what I mean? Like, it's difficult to get all 3 of those characteristics in there, like a killer clean, a killer crunch, and a killer lead channel, and then not have them tied to something that's neutering them, like a shared EQ or whatever it might be. So the only way to do it right is to have 3 independent paths that have their own EQs and their own everything, right? But then you run into other challenges too. So the amount of gain between each one. So you can't do like an amp that relies on power section distortion. You can't have an amp that does that and one that relies on preamp based distortion. It's really difficult to get both of those to exist or coexist together. So many of my current amp models are more output section based distortion. So I was kind of considering calling that whole lineup the OSD lineup, output section distortion, without trying to sound too much like ODS. But OSD, the acronym fits. It's a line of amps, output section distortion designs, right? But trying to make it so that a preamp based distortion like this one here and an output section, you can't. It's almost impossible. You can't do it. So which one's the right way to do it? That's the question mark. Like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. That's more or less what I'm getting at. And then effects loops. I don't like effects loops. They do change the tone, and the best ones are the ones, I shouldn't say that. Let me back up a little bit. The best effects loops, the ones that work the way we expect them to, are in circuit. So they're breaking the channel, they're inserted in, and then they reassimilate, if you will, into the output section and re-amplified, right? So you're cutting the signal path to insert the effects loop and then re-injecting it back into the signal path again. Well, the problem with that is now you're taking everything that was once tube and creating a whole nother circuit to power it, or possibly even using solid state parts like this to drive it, and it's no longer a pure path. Right? It's now tainted with whatever that might be. So there is no such thing as a great sounding effects loop, period. And even the better units, like this guy here, this is the Mojo Tone Metro / Granger version. It's the one that uses the LND 150s. This is like one of the most popular versions. It's in half a dozen amps out there that are all production based. There's nothing wrong with it in and of itself. It sounds pretty good for what it is, but it changes the tone. If you were to bring it in and out of circuit, you can hear the difference. That's the part I don't like. So how do you get around that and still have an effects loop? That's the big question mark. Well, this guy here is kind of that answer for me. This one is a parallel effects loop. Well, parallel effects loops have their problem too. Parallel effects loops do not interrupt the circuit. It runs in parallel with it. So it takes a feed off of it, runs its own stuff alongside of it, and then re-injects itself. The circuit in and of itself is always true to itself. Well, now you have to imagine you've got a dry signal going straight through, and then you've got the wet signal going through. So you need to be able to adjust the amount of wet signal that gets fed back in via your effects loop, which means you have to run all your effects full wet. Not all effects can do that. Effects pedals are also popular for switching the polarity along the way. So phase becomes an issue, right? Or polarity. But you come out, you go into the effects, and it flops the polarity at some point. Well, when it comes back in and remixes with the dry signal, you can end up with serious phase or polarity issues. Well, this one hopes to answer that by having a polarity switch. So you can invert the polarity. It's only going to fix it so far, though. If you have any kind of latency, so if you're into using digital effects, and you have any kind of dry signal that runs through a digital effect, you're probably going to have some amount of latency. Latency is phase when it sums back into a dry signal. So you need to be able to run full wet with effects loops like that. Effects loops definitely choke the tone, period. So this was my answer to getting away from that problem, because now with a parallel effects loop, the tone is never actually choked. It's pure through. But you now have to think differently about how you run your effects board. So this one, I got to hear it. To me, it sounds pretty dang good. So I don't think it's going to be a problem, but you still have to you have to design your pedal board around it. So you never get to have your cake and eat it too. So now we're talking one of the effects loops that I wanted to try to design, or a design that I was hoping I could create someday, would be a post phase inverter effects loop. Now imagine trying to pull that off. So now you have to have an effects loop that has two polarities in it, because you got phase 1 and phase 2 of the phase inverter. It has to go out, do what it does, and then jump back in, but it can't change anything that's going on with the phase inverter. Like the phase inverter needs to work the way it does, and it needs to power the power tubes the way it needs to as well. But talk about the cool way to be able to pull that off is to have, you'd basically need a stereo effects loop that runs everything, in mono, if you will, but in different polarities on either side, and then sums them back down into the phase inverter in the same, that sort of ideology. To me, that would be the only way to kind of thwart the problems that having a phase inverter, pre-phase inverter has. A lot of people try to inject phase inverters, effects loops in amps like a JCM 800. JCM 800, a lot of the grind that you get out of it, once you start getting it dimed up, is coming from the phase inverter. Sorry, but the phase inverter, when it distorts, it sounds pretty, it's got a neat little sound, I think, but when you start running effects into it, it's definitely not great. I don't think so. It sounds to me like he's got it pretty dialed. I told him that I was going to be powering it off the B+ that comes from the phase inverter, or in that general vicinity, and he's like, perfect, it'll work turnkey just that way. He's all, that's what he designed it for. So he meant it to be basically like this guy here, where you power it from the phase inverter, whatever that node is, and it just works. So that one will as well. Somehow or another, he managed to dumb the voltage down sane enough to power off some TLO 72s. And as we know, TLO-72s are really good as far as audio signal, amplification goes. LND or TLO-72s are really good for that. That's what they're famous for. So I think it'll work good either way. But that's where a lot of matchless amps kind of fail, and even some Dumble amps. The Dumble ODS used a post or a pre-phase loop, pre-phase inverter loop. All I did was just jump the signal out and then back in, and he ended up making the Dumbleator or whatever it is, the freaking effects loop thing that he had, the buffer. So you had to spend another $10,000 on a buffer system just to run your effects the way they were meant to be ran. Effects loops in amps do not work, just period. So this one here is the best chance we got. Oh, well, guys and gals, well, at least one girl maybe, but I think we've kind of gotten through everything. We know what we're up against. We've got some good progress. We're going to call the amp the LD7-50, so I can start getting going on some other aspects of this build. So the last thing that we need to do is figure out what kind of faceplates we're going to go with. I'm really kind of leaning towards the gold ones that I have. You can't see it, it's too low. Hold on, let me get one out. Do I have one available? Yes, I do. It's kind of buried down here. My apologies. Bear with me while I get it out. Perfect, there it is. So this came from another one of my builds here. It's just this nice gold color. It's nothing crazy, it's just gold. But it contrasts really well with black. I've noticed that this color goes with pretty much any color Tolex that you have out there. So you can use teal green, baby blue, black, red, whatever Tolex color you got. This color just works really, really well with it. I like it. This is what I was thinking of going with. So another option that I had in mind was white with black background or black with white background. Yeah. So there's so many different sloth. That's a good point. So there's so many different ways to run effects into in an amplifier, and depending on how you use it, really depends on the success I guess you're having with it. That's pretty much why my 18-watt design was created. This one here. Isn't she pretty? And you can even see the mirror. And this is the back side. So, and that's that kind of gold I was talking about there. All right. So this guy here, I was sick and tired of trying to figure out how to make a high gain amp out of it. Like I couldn't get what I wanted out of it. So I decided to just start over again and make it just a clean pedal platform based amp, right? It's 18 watts. It's, a parallel triode that runs straight into the phase inverter. There's nothing in between. So the phase inverter is the only thing that distorts on it. Well, sounds amazing. Beautiful cleans. You cannot get a bad sound out of the damn thing. The downer is with effects. By the time you start getting anything that the output section does, that's where you run into problems. You might be able to get away with a delay, but reverbs, give it up. So you're going to pretty much have to use grip pedals in the front end of it. I started creating more and more progressively higher gain versions of these things, if you will. And I'll see here if this other view will show it. Hold on here. Is it preset 1? This guy right here. So that guy is a higher gain version of that. It's basically an 18 watt, but it uses two 6v6s, but it has a parallel path thing going on. It has a 12AX7 that's ran in parallel. So it's a parallel triode. It strips off and then it feeds into a EF86. The EF86 then drives straight into the phase inverter, but so does the parallel triode. So both paths are always in circuit at all times. And there's two volume controls. There's volume 2 and volume 1. So you can vary how much of each tube is hitting the output section. That one still has just a little bit of fine tuning left to do on it, but you can see it's got the faceplates. It's got the faceplates because the name and everything else about it is settled. It's just fine tuning at this point. But that is that gold color that is the same as this here. So you can kind of see why I'm, you know, a little smitten with it. That thing is a cool amp though. I think the only other thing I might do to it is convert it into a fixed bias design. And the only reason to go with fixed bias is just to eke a couple more watts out of it. I think it would make more sense as a design if it was plopping out like 22 watts or something like that. And I think I can get at least 22 to 24, maybe. Solid 22 watts. And I think that would make it more viable. As it is right now, I don't think it'll ever see production. This will be a 1 of 1. But that's just where we're at currently anyway. So, I'm still working all that stuff out though. I need to do more work is more or less what I'm getting to. But I'm trying to button up all the different designs that I currently have so that way I can start completing these things so I can be ready to sell. If somebody's like, hey, I want, you know, the Atlas, or I want the whatever, you know, XYZ. This one here, if it keeps continuing in the direction that it's going, it will end up being a production amp. But in the meantime, it will be a 1 of 1. So I think everybody here on this channel is already put in for the competition. It's not a competition, but I think everybody here is pretty much put in to be the winner of this thing. You're not going to be disappointed. If you win this amp, you are going to be super freaking stoked. So, I'm just as going back a little ways, talking about how guitar amp builders are just a little weird and all that stuff. I'm weird as well. I have some isms, if you will. They're just a little more pointed, I think. I don't believe in that kind of crap where you have to run the wire the same way every time. That's a Bob Jica thing. And I think he kind of got that from Ken Fisher. Ken Fisher had some weird oddities to him. And then, of course, Dumble himself had some interesting kind of ideas. I don't believe in fairy pixies. There is something different about tubes, period. You cannot emulate what a tube does in a solid state circuit. You cannot make a model do what a tube amp does. You can make it do what a tube amp does at that setting and at that volume level. But as soon as you start to alter the parameters, change the bass, change the volume on the guitar, whatever it might be, something else that is not esoteric to that circuit, you cannot do in a modeler what you can do with a real tube amp. It'll emulate that moment in time, but that's it. No more, no less. You can make it even sound identical to that exact moment in time. I don't have any doubts in that regard, but as soon as you start changing the parameters, it's off the reservation. You cannot make a modeler do exactly what a tube amp does through all of its settings and all of the little intricacies of it. And most of it comes down to the feel. All the modelers that I've come across, they sound fine. It's not that they sound bad. It's not that I dislike solid state distortion. It sounds great. That's why I own pedals. That's why everybody owns pedals. There's nothing wrong with a solid state amp or a solid state pedal doing what it does. It's just the feel. You can't get the feel, the immediacy. Like, the electrons in this thing are traveling at 99.99% the speed of light. When you pluck a string here, it's coming out the other end there almost literally at that freaking instant. And you cannot beat that feel. With a modeler, even with an actual analog solid state design, it's pretty much the same in that regard. So, but when you go with a modeler, even if it's a half a millisecond of latency in that design, that's not the speed of light. It's not even 99.99% the speed of light. You know what I mean? So those little intricacies you can't emulate in a modeler. So I'm sorry. It's cool that you can try out every freaking amp on the planet with those modelers. Can't try this one. Can't try that one. Can't try the other one. They don't exist. And these things do something different. Period. Even if they have the same circuit as some of these amps that are on those modelers, it's going to do something different. Cannot fake this shit. This is the real deal. That's why you spend the money on these things. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. Sounds horrible? That sucks. I'm sorry, Dale. Randall used to be great, and at one point in time, they were the king of like analog and solid state kind of designs. They tried to go back into tubes and stuff like that, and I think they had Randall. I can't remember his name. What's the guy? Mike Fortin. They had Mike Fortin there for a minute. That's who it was. It was actually Mike Fortin when they started going back into tubes and stuff like that. But Mike ended up, I think Mike did him dirty. He designed like half a dozen different amps with them, and then he broke off and did his own thing anyway. Now, Mike Fortin really isn't known for making like truly unique designs, or more or less kind of like modified Marshalls. It's kind of like Dave Friedman in a sense. In a sense. I'm not saying exactly that. He designs his own amps, but they're very kind of pointed down a particular path. I want to say a lot of the ones that I've seen are kind of more Marshall-esque, modified Marshalls, if you will. But, okay. So last night I was watching Andy, and he's like, "Oh, Luke, you forgot." I was saying that nobody does it better than you do. That was tongue in cheek. I was being gross, but, what I was saying is that he was probably thinking what I should have done is here, instead of running it up the middle, running it down the side and then shooting in, right? So at each one, I'd have this hod here, run down here, and then I'd shoot into each one or something like that. That's what I'm guessing. Or he was thinking I could have just ran a bus wire. So instead of doing the, we'll do a closer shot here so you can see, but let's see if I can get it in shot without hitting anything. See how they're twisted in between each of the tube sockets? Right? Instead of twisting them, he was thinking I could have just ran straight through. It probably would have worked just as well either way. The reason I went with this path here was that this is the shortest path, right? If I go down, over, and up, down, over, and up, down, over, and up, down, over, and up, down, etc., I'm adding an extra, inch of wire. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, at least an extra 8 inches of the noisiest thing in the amp. So my thought process was, why would I want to do that if I don't want... sorry, hold on. I'm wiping my nose off real quick. Bear with me. Freaking, it's warm out in the garage. It's summer. It's like 80-something degrees outside right now. So, heaters, noisiest thing in the amp. How do you make them quieter? Make them shorter. Period. That's why I don't use heater wires to run my pilot lights. I want the noisiest thing in the amp to be the shortest possible run I can get. That's why when the heaters come in from here, they're going to shoot over, they're going to hit here, they'll branch off that way, and they'll branch around that way. I just twisted them because it's twisted everywhere else. I was saying that twisting is... I don't think twisting or running them straight makes a difference, honestly. But if you want to try to get the noise contained to the smallest possible area, twisting them is the only way to make that noise shrink in terms of, instead of running 2 wires side by side. You can see it right here, in fact. I can fit almost the width of this, thing in between the 2 wires on the in-betweens here. Well, over here, the width of those 2 wires twisted together is about the width of the head of this thing. So those are the thoughts. So for me, this is the best of 2 evils. Just how short can I make it, and how clean and up the middle can I make it? And then as you've seen, it's a pretty tight little fit. Like the 2 turret boards run pretty much right up along the side of that thing. So, and keep smashing it there. There we go. So there's not a whole lot of space in between these things. So as you can see, I didn't want to have that run there running underneath this thing right here. So that's all. It was just I had to make a decision. And that seemed like the best of 2 evils. We get down to 80 degrees in winter here. Freeze my ass off too. We didn't get a winter here, that's for damn sure. Like it's a little weird. It's never usually this hot this time of year here, but I guess we're up for another La Nina or whatever they call it. I kind of like El Ninos myself, but I like the rain. We need the rain here, but we got plenty of rain the last couple of weeks, so it is what it is. But there are 1,000,001 freaking ways to do the same. So I had a mentor when I was getting started on doing audio or live sound engineering. He had a pretty cool saying, and it was a unique one. He's there's 5 different ways to do the same thing. One of them is the absolute wrong way to do it. 3 of them will work just fine. And the last one is the right way. So he never did allude to which one was the wrong, which 3 were fine, and which one was the wrong way. But the point was that there's one absolute wrong way to do it. 3 will work just fine, and one of them is the right way. So I'm hoping I chose the latter. Mr. Wiggy Diggy, what's going on? Good to see you, man. Thanks for coming back. Quick question. There are lots of kits out there. You're new to this, okay? I'm trying to get a Marshall Plexi style. Which kit manufacturer would I recommend? Sorry, my nose is like itching right now. My apologies. Maybe I should start making kits. I don't know. None of them are really all that good. Where are you from? Is part A. Part B is there a budget? I would not get it from Mojo Tone. There's something wrong with that kit. I don't like it. I wouldn't get it from them. And they're probably getting it from the next company that I'm going to suggest to you anyway. So if you're going for budget, just go straight to the guy that's supplying it to everybody in the world anyway. And that is Mable Audio. And I'm not going to put a link in the description, but it's MABLE Audio. All right. So let me search that myself to make sure that I'm not steering you down the wrong path. I am not steering you down the wrong path. It is MabelAudio.com. They have a butt ton of kits. All right. And I can tell you right now, they are as good as they're going to come from any place that you're going to buy that's selling a kit. Period. Except for if you want to step it up just a little bit. If you're okay with spending a little bit more money, go to Metropolis. And let me make sure that I am... no, I'm sorry. Metropolis just went out of business. Modulus. My apologies. So if you're from the European countries, Modulus Amplification. So Modulus, and it's MODULUS. All right. Those are the 2 places that I would suggest you're going to do this from. Metropolis, Mr. Metropolis, he's having some health issues right now, and he shut down his shop. I hope he gets to enjoy the rest of his time, but I think he's kind of on his way out, unfortunately, and he has shut his doors. So that is a little bit of a sad story for this industry, considering that he was one of the better ones out there, right? Metropolis, Modulus is great. If you're more into the European areas, that would be the next best bet. If you're looking to just get a turnkey kit, Mable Audio. Let's see here. I'm looking at I'm on Modulus right now, and they have pretty much everything, and they're cheap. They're actually really good. Yeah, you cannot replicate a tube amp. Depends on your perspective. Right way is open-ended. Well, see, that's just it. Lone Dog, you're not wrong. You are absolutely not wrong. And I think that's where a lot of people are heading these days. I'm talking about BAD, Boutique Amplifier Distribution. Tone King is a shell of what it used to be. Friedman's are not what they used to be. 10 or 15 years ago, before they started getting into this, thing that they're doing now with PCB traces on their turret boards, or I should say eyelet boards, because they're actually eyelet boards now, and using quick disconnect pins and all that other fun stuff. 15, 20 years ago, when they weren't doing that, they were great amps. There was nothing wrong with them. He was doing his thing. He beat Marshall at doing what Marshall should have done. All right. He was making modified Marshalls better than Marshall was making Marshalls. That was great. But then he started doing what I call racing to the bottom. Racing to the bottom is my idea of finding every which way you can to cheapify the object to make the most amount of income or revenue or margin or whatever you want to call it, and give the client the least amount of product for the most amount of money. more or less. Now, Mr. Wiggy Diggy. I don't have my designs for sale necessarily. I don't make a Marshall. I don't have a Marshall design per se. I would like to start offering kits. I've been told I should make kits. I don't have a way to offer up kits right now. So I'm not going to even try to start selling something like that. My first amp, which is this one here, came from a Mabel Audio kit. All right. And I will tell you right now, it worked. It had everything in it that it was supposed to have. It sounded great. There is nothing wrong with what they send you in that kit. And that kit, I think you can buy it today for $350 plus shipping. And the shipping wasn't that bad. So maybe for less than $500, you can get an 18-watt sent to your house. You can buy them pre-built even if you really, really wanted to. Now it's made by a bunch of little kids in a factory over there in China. I'll leave that, level of virtue signaling up to yourself. But yeah, it's whatever you want to do with it. It's up to you. Now, I'm going to tell you the better way to do it. And it's not going to be much cheaper than probably just buying the amp in and of itself from the actual maker. But if you can spend the time and go through some of these videos that I've already done, I tell you where to get the parts from to do all these things. And I show you how to look at the schematics. And if you can look at a schematic and you can look at a layout and make a layout, then you can find all these parts to buy and make it yourself. It's not the cheapest way to do it, but it is a better way to do it. And then you can build the amp yourself. Because you're going to be doing it pretty much anyway on your own. So let me go through some of these comments here. They used to, maybe they don't anymore. Tone King is gone. Well, okay. Maybe you're talking about their new pedal that they came out with the tri-tube or whatever it is. Tone King isn't what they used to be. They're not making their stuff like this anymore. It's kind of being done like the Friedmans are. So it's PCB traces. Everything's kind of modular, if you will. So there's a PCB that deals with all the output section. There's a PCB that deals with all the pots and stuff like that. Like they're breaking things up into modularized like PCB traces. It's not what they used to be. Tone King used to be known for making the vertical triangle like turret board things. They literally used vertical, like imagine this guy here turned upside up, or maybe like this even. So it would fit inside of the chassis, and then all the parts were laid on that, and then they would put them in a triangle, and it would feed each of the tubes off of that, and the components would sit vertically inside of it. That's what they used to do. So when you got a Tone King, Sky King at one point in time, that's what it had, was like half a dozen of those things in there. And there's like little triangular things that were like 2 inches tall, and it had all the components situated in it vertically. And each one of those worked around a tube circuit. I think he might be happy. I think he can get a kit build that honestly will blow like the stuff you can buy out of the store away. It's just the problem with the kit builds is they come with budget parts, right? You're not going to get a kit that comes with Zosos. You're not going to get a kit that comes with all F&Ts. You're not going to get a kit that comes with all the good stuff, which means you're going to build it. It's going to work and it's going to sound good. And you're going to wish it had something else. And then you're going to get the mod bug. And you're going to want to go in there and you're going to want to change all these parts. Well, you've already spent $1,000 on the kit. Now you're going to spend another $1,000 on all the parts to replace all the parts that you wish you'd have changed to begin with. Forget all that. If you want to do it right, start going through some of these video series and then source all the parts yourself and do it the way you want the first time around. If you want F&T, go with the F&T. If you want the JJ stuff, get the JJ stuff. The biggest thing is your budget. I can tell you right now, there's nothing wrong with Hammond. So if you want to go with Hammond transformer, there's nothing wrong with those. There's nothing wrong with the Hayboer transformers. If you want to go with Hayboer, go with Hayboer. I'm going to say stick with Hammond. They're the most affordable, and they seem to be the best. The only thing that sucks about them is they put paint on their leads. Not a big deal if you're just building a kit amp. I think the options that Hammond has are just better overall. Parts-wise, go to Antique Electronic Supply, which is now Amplified Parts. They have 90% of what you need there. And if they don't have it, then, you know, Tubes and More. Is that what it's called? Is Tubes and More? Tube Depot. My apologies. But Tubes and More has some of that stuff. Tube Depot has some of this stuff. Whatever you want, it's out there. It exists. You can go to Mouser and DigiKey and find some of the other more bespoke stuff. You can do it. The hardest part is going to be the chassis. Finding a chassis that's already cut to the way you want. Modulus has them. There's a couple others out there. You can find them. But if you can find it, that's great. Do it. Go that way. But I think you're going to be better off in the long run doing it from not a kit if you want to do it the way that you really want it to be done. Hammond makes great stuff. So I apologize. I'm going to scroll back up a little bit here. There's quite a few posts that came through. Lone Dog, I am not worried about it. I love the feedback. Dude, that's freaking amazeballs. Thank you so much. I appreciate just the back and forth, dude. I know we can't all agree on anything or everything, excuse me, but you know, you got your thoughts, I got mine, and you know, I appreciate the back and forth. So don't ever feel like you're annoying me or whatever. Yep, agreed. You were talking about don't take anything I'm saying as being all that important or whatever. It's an old subject, which is better solid state or no. We can have different sound. Yes, and you know, beauty is in the eyes and ears of the beholder too. So I'm not trying to say that this is the best way to do it. It's just a way. But there are certain things that only these types of amps can do. Yep, exactly. So sum of all parts is more or less is what you're saying for sure. And that's true. It is the sum of all parts. And there's 10 different ways to do the same thing as we were already talking, or 5 different ways to do the same thing. We were already talking about it. Which one's wrong, which one's right is, you know, up for debate. I wish you can find those schematics offset for the mesas. The challenge is really like how correct they are and how readable they are. So a lot of the mesas are done on PCB boards and they draw those schematics up like they are done on PCB boards. So there's a lot of breaks and, you know, like sections and zones. So it's really difficult when you got like a multi-channel amp and do, you know, kitchen sink and everything else like Mesa is known for, and being able to compile it all into something that's legible, especially if you're not really good at reading schematics. Yep, Lone Dog, yeah, everybody hears something different. The beauty is definitely in the ear of the beholder. Okay. Has a nice pre-tube solid state hybrid amp. It's got everything. So I've had all kinds of different tube preamps before too. I had a PV Rockmaster at one point. I think that's like a 4-tube or a 3-tube design. I had an Angle E530 for a little while. Again, another multi-tube design. They all did kind of a cool little thing. It just still wasn't the same. Like running it through another power amp just didn't do it for me. If you made an awesome I'm trying to figure out the easiest way to do these recordings, and honest to God, the best I've come up with is this. Let me undo things here. Sorry. Is the 2 notes. This is what I call the great equalizer, the Captor X, the 2 notes torpedo Captor X. I don't know what it is about the thing. It's not that it sounds great or realistic or this or that. No. It's just that you can get a sound out of it that's agreeable. It's convincing enough that I don't have to sit there and go, that's not real. Like, you know what I mean? It's convincing. That's the big part. And then it just normalizes it all for you in that I can plug this amp, I can plug that amp, the other amp, the other amp, the other amp, and it's going to be the same result. The only thing that's different is the amp. So that's why I call it the great equalizer. I know at least at the load that thing's rated for, and when I plug into it, it's going to work. So it's a bass amp though. Oh, okay. The Blackstar Artisan 100. I haven't posted that video yet, so I need to get going back actually in time a little bit in doing that. So I hung out with Angry Tube Man here. I also know him as AC. I also know his real name, but I'm not going to expose him here. But I got to play his Black Star Artisan 100. It was, for a Plexi style amp, really impressive. Heavy as balls. That thing is pretty beastly in that regard. That's a big tube amp. This is 17 inches right here. I want to say it's like a 22-inch chassis, so it's like it's freaking huge, and it has all the right parts in it. So quite impressed. There was a couple little things I wished about it that were different. It has quite a bit of bass, but you can clean it up by doing the classic thing where you just roll the bass all the way off. And then depending on how you jumper the inputs, it also changes its attitude a little bit. So it was definitely fun. So worth the money if you can find it for that price there, that $1,000 point. It's a good way to get a Plexi amp that's well made. It's not a piece of shit, that's for sure. Yeah. So you can find sections of them. You generally can just find like the preamp or this or that. I think you'll be fine, or interested to know that a lot of the Mesa preamps really don't travel too far from the tree. They're kind of just more or less like a Dumble in a sense, where they have cascaded gain stages. They use cathode followers a lot to drive tone stacks and effects loops and stuff. But if you can find one that's for like a triple rec or something like that, or a dual rec, it's probably not going to be too different from, like their Lone Star or something like that. Like there's some differences, but for the most part, they're kind of one or more gain stages different. But yeah, okay. I appreciate your feedback on that. I don't know. I'm an audio engineer, so I mean, it's better at least sound somewhat reasonable. This is the $99 DJI microphone kit. Like, killer mics for what they are. I am using a little bit of processing in here, but I've gotten to a place now where I don't even have to bother with monitoring in real time like I used to. I used to have to put earphones on to make sure I could manage my distance off the mic and all that fun stuff. I was for the longest time using the Rode podcast mic. Great mic, by the way. But I try to run things in the box, and I don't want to have to think about it. So this one's great here. Whatever processing I have was the 5-minute. Yeah, it sounds good. Let's get out of here. But as it comes to like trying to present things, like that Torpedo Captor X it's the same every time. If it sounds good with one amp, it's going to sound pretty much the same with anything else. So I just try to make it so it's simpler. To give you an idea, I'm not saying you need to, eventually it will come out for you guys if you're not a member. But if you're a channel member, I did drop a video today that does show that 50-watt design that I was showing down there and how it sounds. Just saying. I'm not saying, I'm just saying. Eventually I'll post that video out and make it available to everybody, but not today. I'm trying to get the quality up. I need to get better cameras. So these two cameras here are the OBSBot, like whatever 2.0 versions. They're okay. They say they're 4K cameras. They are not 4K cameras. It's not like shooting with the Sony X1000 or XV1000 or whatever it is. They do not shoot in 4K. This is running at 2K right now. And it's okay, but I notice it. I don't know if you guys notice it, but there's like aliasing here and there. Every now and then it looks like it jumps. I don't know what it is. As far as I can tell, it's the cameras, because that computer that I'm using is a mini PC. It's about yay big. This thing's a beast. Brian, my buddy, helped acquire that and build it for me and all that jazz. This thing's nice. So we're trying to make the quality go up. I know that the color temperature stuff is off. Like, that does not look that red in real life. Like, it's a little bit more maroon color as opposed to bright red. Like, there's just little things. I'm trying to work that out. But for me, it was like, how can I get the best quality I can for under $1,000 versus spending $10,000 to have like real 4K stuff with the real Sony camera and all that crap. So we're just doing what we can with what we got. Audio wise, I'm okay with it. It's fine. It sounds like me, so I'm not too worried about that side of it. There is a fair amount of compression going on. I don't even think I have it open. Yeah, I closed them all. I say I can't even pull it up on the screen to show you what's going on, but I'm using a fair amount of compression, minor amount of EQ. Doesn't really require that much EQ, but I will say that if you're gonna get into doing this stuff, it's not as difficult as it seems. When you want to get into doing 2K or better, you gotta have a sound card a video card. You gotta have a GPU of some sort. So the GPU that's in this little box is freaking killer. It's an ARC or something like that, an Intel ARC. I shot a video in 4K a month ago, and it wasn't worth the effort and energy. It didn't look any better than what we're currently seeing here, and this is at 2K as far as I know. Oh, see, it did it there, like a little choppy. It's the cameras though. It's not the computer. But thank you. I'm glad you guys like it. I want to bring the quality up. The next thing that needs to change is this guy. I got to figure out a way to be more interactive and just more interesting, I guess. That's the hard part. Like, I really kind of want this channel to stay like a learning thing. I don't really necessarily want it to turn into a dog and pony show where it's like, oh, look at my, video quality skills. I'm super awesome in that way. I don't really want it to turn into that. But I know that ultimately, if you want to get people to stick around and like really kind of get involved with your stuff, you kind of got to do that. So eventually I'm going to get better quality cameras. This one here that we're looking at right there, that one's actually the Meet 2, and it is a gimbal camera. So it's got the PTZ thing going on, so I can do different views. So this is what's going on. Oh, I gotta wait for it. There it goes. So this is what I got going on. So that's what I was monitoring myself with earlier for the video that I shot for my members. And you can see I got the Scarlett sitting there for that. And obviously that was the amp that I was using to do all that stuff with. So little by little, we're trying to make the quality come up. But I don't know about better than most channels. I mean, I'm not trying to be the best at that. I'm never going to be the, like Linus Tech Tips or Psionic Audio level of, video quality, at least anyway. Certainly don't have his deep, debonair voice, but, I just want to try to make it so it's like clear as can be. So there's like nothing hidden. You can't say that you didn't see it. We're working on that part. The last part is just me fixing me. It's probably slowing down a little bit and making it so I don't say and all these other like, I can't remember what the term is for when you use other ums and stuff like that, but just trying to be more pointed and more interesting and tell stories and tie all this stuff together. I'd have a beer with me too. I'll have a beer with you. Speaking of beer, it's time for another drink. Interestingly enough, I don't really require much of this to help out either. It doesn't really change my attitude. No, I got what you meant. Totally. So slowly but surely, we're going to have more content. What I can tell you, for those of you who are watching this now and aren't in here currently or aren't already in the giveaway, you better get in while the getting's good. It's free. Aside from possibly VAT and like tariff charges. I can't prepay that stuff, unfortunately. I tried looking into how I could pull that off, and I can't just say I'm going to send you a $600 or $1,000 check to get this thing into the country for you. But if you're in the Americas, we'll ship it to you. If you're out of the country, we will ship it to you. You just are responsible for the VAT and the tariff charges if they charge that kind of stuff. That part might not be super cheap, but just be aware that that might be the only cost incurred. Outside of that, it is free. And you can see there are hours and hours and hours of time spent on this thing. Granted, this is only like 30 minutes of time, but you know what I mean. There's more to come. So I don't know how much I'll involve you guys in creating the faceplates. To me, it seems senseless to do that. Most people don't have a laser burner. Most people don't have the software that I have to do it. So why show you in real time what's going on with that? I'll probably just give a quick rundown of what it was I did and where we're at, so we can all approve of the design. But I hope shipping won't be crazy. So story time. The last giveaway I did, the winner was out of Sweden. So I did travel to Sweden, amp in hand. It wasn't literally in hand, but I put it in a box and traveled with it to Sweden. It was pretty much just as affordable for me to travel with the amp to Sweden and hand deliver it than it was to just ship it. At least for him. For me, it probably would have cost $650, maybe 500, 600 and something bucks to ship it with insurance and all that included. Who knows? But for him, it would have cost God knows what. It would have cost him at least $600 or $1,000 to get it out of, the taxes and the tariffs and stuff like that. So it was just like, whatever. For $650, I can fly round trip from, California to Sweden. And I get a little freaking vacation trip out of it. So me and my buddy Brian went there and hand delivered the amp. It obviously was a lot more expensive to do that, but we got to make a hell of a video out of it. I got to have a hell of an experience, and I wish I could do that every freaking time. It would be so amazeballs to go and travel the countries or, the world or whatever to hand deliver these things. I am not a man of unlimited funds, unfortunately. So, that's why you see the commercials and stuff pop up on these things, is I'm trying to get YouTube to pay me. I'm not asking for money. I don't want you to give me any money, but all those little things do help. I am a man of limited funds, but I don't think I'll be able to hand deliver this one. There's a lot of depends on it. If it lands in the States, I might be able to pull that off. I'd almost prefer to do it that way, because it's great, because then I get to make the kind of content I'd love to create, which is showing people these amps. And hey, take care, Lex. Oh, wait. Other way around. Aha. Angry. Yes, we'll see you later. Sorry, Lex. That is the way I want to go. If you want to see Angry Tube Man, he's another one that recently received an amp that has touched my hands and Andy's hands. When I say Andy, I'm talking about Andy Lederman of YDNA amplification fame. So Andy made an amp. It got tossed around a bit and ended up on my lap to try to fix. I fixed it and I hand delivered it to Angry Tube Man there, and I made a video out of it. So that's kind of why I like doing that if I can. All you got to do is deal with this asshole showing up in your house and drinking all your alcohol. That's it. I mean, how bad could it possibly be? Good night, Offset. We'll see you later, my man. Have a wonderful evening. Have a sip for me. But, so yeah, I mean, ultimately I'd love to be able to do that, but I can't say, well, we're not going to go there, Sloth, but if you win, which I hope everybody wins, but I wish I could do that. I don't know that I can. That's why I'm thinking I'm probably only going to do this once a year. I'm thinking, I was talking before about making this more of like a thing for my channel, which is where I just do more or less giveaways. And we call it the amp lottery. So more or less, I'll make an amp, and whoever wins it, whatever. And then I show up at your house, deliver it to you, and no. Some of that depends on the success of how the channel goes. I haven't made enough money to make it a viable thing for me at all yet. YouTube, I think I got a check coming on in about 10 days from now for $130. A whole $130. That's what I've made in the last 3 months. So that's about how long it takes for me to accumulate the minimum amount that they'll pay out. So slowly but surely we are getting there. But I can tell you right now that if you're looking to make money on YouTube, it's not, unless you're one of those snazzy channels that tries to suck money out of people, which this one is not, then yeah. South Korea. Well, oh, I see what you're doing. We'll see. I don't know. I would love to hand deliver this to John even and just visit and just say hi and whatnot. I don't know about my availability of being able to get on base, given the current circumstances. And then of course, just the costs, you know, I don't think it's that expensive. He was saying that getting to Incheon or whatever, no, they're still on. They were saying goodbye to Offset and the other gentleman. But in either case, Angry Tube Man. But in either case, I don't know that that's going to happen. I don't know that I'm going to be able to hand deliver this particular one. And it scares the ever-living shit out of me, let me tell you. So just imagine the amount of parts that I put into this thing. So I've got a $300 power transformer, this guy right here. That's about a $300 power transformer, and another $100, a little over $100, but about $100 for the output transformer. So we're looking at $400 just on transformers, $100 just for the chassis, and easily another freaking, $100 on the effects loop. Thereabouts anyway. It was a little under $100, but about $100 for the effects loop. And we're talking easily another 100, 200, about another $200 or $300 on just the other hard parts, right? Easily that much. So we're what, $700 deep on just the hard parts. We haven't even gotten into the faceplates yet. So there's another, we're talking when you start adding it up, I want to say we're easily going to be $1,500 deep on this thing after we get all the little bits and pieces kind of added up, like just in raw parts, easily $1,500. We haven't even touched the time wise on this thing. I mean, how much do you pay yourself, right? Later, Sloth. Take care, my man. Aroo. But hold on, we're gonna do some house cleaning here. Boop, not house cleaning. We're gonna keep up house. Excuse me. Anyway, Mr. Angry Tube Man, knock that shit off. Knock that shit off. Thank you though. I appreciate that, but no, that was not a ploy. But thank you. I appreciate that, but stop it. So yeah, that's not that bad when you consider like the whole on cost. I mean, a lot of the little things are kind of going over just because like I'm finding like little things like these guys, right? So there's like $10 for a bag of these things, even though I only need 2 of them, right? You can't just buy 2 of them though. So you're going to spend $10 here and $10 there, right? So it's little things like that start right here. Dual pots, baby. So yeah, it's all the little things, like all the back end stuff. Like I bought like all these connectors here because I knew I was going to need, flag style connectors. So, another $10 there. I had to buy some different screws. Again, I'm only using 4 or 5 of them. So whatever, right? So, again, it's still another $10 in screws, even though I'm only using 4 or 5 of them. I had to buy different standoffs. Again, another $10, right? And you factor all the shipping in. So the cost for me to actually get this thing built is probably going to be closer to $2,000. But if you were to just buy it and do it for the one time that you had to deal with it, yeah, sure, maybe $1,000, $1,500 or something like that. The wood isn't that expensive. It takes a 4 foot by 4 foot sheet, more or less. Is that right? No. Excuse me, a 4 foot by 2 foot sheet. So a half a board of, plywood or whatnot. So what's a plywood go for? Like $80, $100 after taxes. So $50 in wood to build it, the cabinet for it. Cabinet's not cheap either. Tolex works out to about $100 in Tolex. The wood, $50. I do a mirror in the back. We do the lighting, all the little things. I mean, we're talking another $300 or $400 just in material costs for the cabinetry. I buy real leather handle parts or real leather parts for it. So another $100 in handles and leather corners and stuff. Like you can see, like it's nickel and dimed to death to make these things. So that's why I say it's probably closer to $2,000 all in. to build this thing, but easily $1,500 if you only had to do it, if you knew exactly everything that you needed. Is it much? Okay. I mean, it's not that bad. It's just the time aspects. I mean, let's say I could get all the parts for $1,500, $1,000. Let's say I knew exactly what I was going to get and I already had all the stuff in stock already. Yeah, we could easily get the actual parts cost down to like maybe $1,000. But that doesn't include my time. We still haven't even touched the time. I mean, we're running close to 100 hours on this thing. It's not quite 100 hours at this point in time, but we're running close to 100 hours in invested time on this design right here. Now, what is that? A week and a half? Almost 2 weeks? No, that's like 2 weeks at 80 hours, right? So easily 2 weeks. So that's 2 weeks. I mean, how many more weeks do you think I got in this thing in time? Another 2 or 3? Probably 4. I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to easily add up to over 200 hours. By the time we're done actually building this thing, it's going to be over 200 hours, all said and done. I don't know what you pay yourself, but I can tell you right now that even at $10 an hour, I still, that's still $2,000 just in labor, right? Is that right? 2,000 times 200? I don't know. I'm not a good mathematician in that regard. So hold on here. If I paid myself $2,000 or 200 hours times $10 an hour, yeah, it's $2,000. I'm not that crazy. I'm not that far off. I'm not that inept. But so that's 2,000. So I have to make a profit margin on it. So what would you have to sell this thing for? $5 or $6 grand, right? So that's what we're saying. So I'm getting less than $10 an hour to build this thing. There's where the money's going. The time. Exactly, Lex. That is exactly where it goes. So when you're buying these things from like these true boutique companies that are doing the actual hand wiring, like you wonder why they cost $10,000 for these things. That is why. If you were to actually pay me the time it took to make it, let's say it was a settled design, I don't have to do a lot of the R&D in real time with it. Like I've already built it once or twice or 3 times, and I know exactly what it takes, and I already got the stock in hand, all that jazz. Let's say I was able to get it to the minimum amount of time that it took to build this thing. I would still will a bet that I couldn't do this thing in less than a week. I could build the amp itself in less than a week, but the cabinetry is still going to take another week or 2. So we're still talking 3 or 4 weeks worth of time in this thing. So still close to the 100-hour mark, as it's spread out over that time frame. But I mean, what do you pay yourself for that? You can't. So 5 to 6 is the fair mark. That's why we settled on that number. It was like, if I had to draw a number, that's the number it would be. Realistically, just in time on this, it's going to be $5,000 or $6,000 just in time. But I can't charge that much for the time. So, and obviously nobody's going to value it that way. I'm going to make this thing so it's not easy to put back on the market. It will have a placard on it. It'll be on the bottom of the amp, but there'll be a little plaque. I didn't show it for Linus when he bought or won his amp. So Linus is the one, Pathos 89. He's from Sweden. He's the one I was talking about. So I didn't show it for him because it showed his whole name, right? So he doesn't want people to know exactly who he is. He's okay with the fact that everybody knows he's Linus, but nobody knows his last name. He's Pathos 89 as far as you're concerned. But I'm going to put a thing on the bottom of it, a little plaque that has your name, and it's going to say, presented by Luke Geis to, whoever the winner might be. No. Like a little blurb, and it'll be stuck on the bottom of the amp. So if you put this thing back on the secondhand market, everybody's going to know where it started, its life, and it'll be documented, etc., etc. So yeah, if you can get more than 10 grand out of it, I know where I need to be pricing my shit. That's for damn sure. I kind of feel like what I'll do is I'll do kind of like what Dumble did. If one of the amps ends up on the market for $10,000, this amp just suddenly became a $10,000 amp. If it goes on the market for 20 grand, all of a sudden that amp is now $20,000 to buy. So I think I'll kind of run it that way. And more of it will just kind of become the fun of building them for free and giving them away. And my idea is that if you want to cut the line and you don't want to wait for the free one, then you pay me $6,000 and I'll cut you to the front of the line. How's that? And the hope is that nobody will sell these things. I want this to be a lifetime amp. That is the big thing, is you get it and you hold on to it for life. You might not like it. It might not do everything that you want it to do. Like it does whatever it does really well, but you love it so much and it does that thing that you want it to do so well that you will never get rid of it. And the hope is that, you know, I try to over-engineer these things in such a way that they're not going to break down. Like, there's no reason why this thing shouldn't last a lifetime. The only thing you should ever have to replace in these things are the wearable parts. Wearable parts include tubes, maybe some switches or knobs, jacks, you know, things that get touched, right? Those are the only things that should ever break. The components themselves shouldn't. That's the hope. It's going to the grave. So I told the wife, I don't know if she believes it or not, but I kind of said it on here too, but I was like, because she gives me crap about this, and she's like, yeah, you're out in the freaking garage all day, no, whatever. But I told her, it's like, one day it's possible. All that crap that I have sitting out there in the garage, I'm worth more dead than alive, and I'm already worth more dead than alive anyway. I don't know what's going on with the power, but my lights are kind of flickering a little bit. It's catching my attention. I'm squirreling over here. I apologize. So, you know, I've got an insurance policy, so when I die anyway, I'm already worth more dead than alive. But my hope is that these things here, you know, the pile that I'll amass, will someday be worth more when I'm dead than when I'm alive. One can only hope. My big thing is I want to make the name worth something. Like, I want to make it so that that L that you see right there, this L that you see right there, is just like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts, like what that L is, what it means, and you know what it means to you as a person. Like, it's not the most iconic of letter or naming conventions or whatever you want to call it, right? Like, it's not like Apple, where you look at the Apple symbol and you know exactly what it is right away. But in the guitar world, that right there, I hope will one day mean when they see that L, everybody knows exactly what you're talking about, and they know exactly what it is, and it places more weight than this piece of aluminum has. One can hope and pray and wish and all that fun stuff, but that's the goal. Have a product that I'm proud of and it stands the test of time, and nobody can argue with what is in that box. Which is why I don't like having boxes with a name on it. The box isn't about the damn name. Nobody gives a shit that it says Marshall on it. Nobody gives a crap that it says Bogner, except for those that care about that kind of shit. My hope is that as diminutive as I can make this L right there, as diminutive as I can make it, that is enough to carry the weight that I want. So that's what the hope and the prayer is, I should say. Yeah, that's the shameful part. I wanted to get a neon sign. You talk like that. So what you're seeing right here, this is my green screen. And I'll show you what I mean. So hold on. Boop. Wait, that's not it. I got to show there. That's my green screen. I'm in this giant world. I can't get there. I'm never going to get there. But so I got the green screen. And I used to take this guy here, and I'll show you kind of what I mean. So I have like this little thing up there. There it is. So you can see it there, right? So I used to hang it there, and it would sit up. I can't get it up there because I'm not in the thing. Hold on. We're gonna play games right now. So what do I want to do? I want to go to this one. I want to go to here. I'm gonna go. Hold on. Things are about to get weird. Boom. Bam. So there's the L there, right? So I used to get it so it sat up here. Well, you know, can't win them all. But now that we're not doing that kind of crap anymore, so now we got the amp cam. So that's green screened in. So that's how I'm able to pull this kind of crap off. But let me do what I'm going to do here. I'm going to shrink myself back down. I need to be diminutive. Boop. There I am. in my own little world again. OBS for the win. Let me tell you, once you get OBS kind of dialed in, it's so nice, so nice. But yeah, I wanted to get a neon sign though to fit up in that space up there, and it was to get a custom one made was like way more expensive than I was willing to pay. You can get them all day, every day with just the L, but it was going to be in their font. Their font, I mean. Glad you're not high right now. So let's see here. Vox, I need to learn how to pronounce your name. Thank you for coming in, dude. I appreciate what you do. Well, I thank you. That's all I can say is thank you. And I really wish I knew how to pronounce your name correctly. I want to say Voixu or Voxu or something like that. 143. I know that we've talked aside, from this before. I think via email or whatnot. One of these days, you and I hope we'll do a live together. Something like that. I can come to your channel. You can come to mine. Whatever you want to do. But thank you for popping in, and thank you for the nice, kind words. I appreciate that. So. Offset, are you hanging out or are you taking off? But I think we've kind of gotten through everything that we can get through at this point in time. I feel bad because you just kind of popped in, my man, but I know that there's not much left to go over at this point in time, aside from maybe building that guy. But I've been I want to wait because I did order. So I was talking earlier, and for those of you who may have missed it, these guys here are not at the same center line as these ones, right? So these ones are about 1/8 of an inch off. Okay, cool. So I ordered the new parts, some new ones, and there's two reasons why. One, these ones need to be up about 1/8 of an inch, so I ordered ones with a 3/16 inch standoff as opposed to the 1/16, and that's what I'm referring to there. If you would focus, you fack. So you can see that little standoff zone right in here, right? Well, it's just not going to do it, is it? Here, what about this one? This one focuses pretty good. Anyway, you get what I mean. So I got the 3/16 inch one to make it so that the center line is the same all the way across. That's the hope. Those should be here hopefully next week. And then I can probably think about... where did it go? There it is. Then I can possibly think about drilling holes right here. It's 1 1/8 inch on centers, so that won't be a big deal. It'll be easy enough. And then, once we get those in, it'll be game the fuck on. I think before those come, what I'm going to do is get the back plate designed so I can cut out the back plate, because before I can even solder this guy in to even do anything real anyway, this guy has to be... the back plate has to be installed. So, okay. I don't know the whole Bukovic thing, so I need to check that out. I need to get busy doing some more back end research anyway. I think I was going to do a thing with Bukovic at some time. My understanding is, and don't quote me on anything because I'm talking out of my ass at this very moment in time. Basically going by what I know. What I do know is that Bukovic makes pedals. Am I correct so far? And somehow or another, he got in right around the time of the pandemic. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. And he's able to sell these pedals at like $500 or $600, something like that. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. So those are the three main points that I know. I don't know much beyond that. I need to do some research. So I was going to talk to him. This was like a John thing, Grant His Glorious Tone. He was trying to put us in connection with each other, as well as Voixu there. So I don't know. There's only one way to know, and that's to have a conversation and talk. So I'm down for that because I'm always into enlightening myself. I am not a great businessman. I oversell or undersell. I'd usually try to undersell. My whole thing is I'd rather give you a product that's 10 times what you thought it was and, risk not selling it at all and you come up on it than me overselling a product and you getting home going, what the fuck is this shit? I don't want this crap. I got took. I prefer the former than the later or the latter. So I try to over-engineer, I try to undersell and give you more than what you ask for. So not always possible, but you know what I mean. You get it. But in either case, I need to have more conversations with more people because I'm not the businessman I'd like to be. That's not a bad thing though, I don't think. I'd love to turn this into a business. I'm just not sure how I can do it yet. When I initially started, so let's talk about Marla amplification a little bit. I want to have a conversation with that guy because I do not understand how the hell he's pulling it off. I know how he makes it cheaper in many ways, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm not seeing how he can make it that cheap. He's not using belts and sockets. He's using the cheaper ceramic ones. Whatever. You can get them a dime a dozen, right? He's not using the $13, impedance selector. He's not using a $13 pilot light, etc. Things like that. He's not using real faceplates. He's using stickers. He's not using F&T. He's using the cheap run-of-the-mill stuff. He's using basic, cheap run-of-the-mill stuff, generic, whatever you want to call it, all the way around. That's how we know he's able to keep the costs down. Transformers are the most expensive part. Where is he getting his transformers from? As best I can tell, they're not Hammonds, but they look like they could be Hammonds. Maybe they are, I don't know. I have to do some more research on that, but that's not cheap. Where is he getting these chassis from? Is he getting them from a Chinese place like Mabel Audio or something like that? I don't know. So bulk is key, but then he talks about building these things 5 or 10 at a time, and I'm like sitting there going, I can't afford to buy 10 times this right now, right? Like if it cost me $1,500 in raw parts, and even if I could get a discount at that rate to buy 10 of them, I'm still looking at a second on a house. Like 20 or 30 grand just in parts is what it would take me to put 5 to 10 of these things up. Like right now, I don't have 10 grand to just drop on it. I mean, I could use credit and do it, but that's not smart. So how did he pull that off? How is he pulling that off? It doesn't sound to me. I'm not touting here. I'm not trying to like blow my head up or anything like that. I have more subscribers than Marla Amplification does. How is that freaking possible? I do not know how I can have the 3,100. Hold on. Let me make sure I'm not eating crow right now, but I'm almost positive. At least when I checked a few weeks ago, I had more subscribers than he did. Yes, there we go. Marla Amps. Marla Amps. 686 subscribers. Okay. So I have easily 3x what he's got. Easily. Almost 5x. So I'm not saying, I'm just saying, how the hell is Marla Amplification pulling that off? Okay. I'm not complaining. That's not a complaint. I'm wondering how the heck that can be done, where you can have a name that is sold on Reverb, like you're promoted by Reverb, and you can sell these things, all this, name it. How the hell is he pulling that off with no like seeming support? Like his name should be like 10,000 subs. Another thing that kind of tripped me out a little bit, interestingly enough, is I think even if you go to Fryette, I think I have almost as many subscribers as he does. I might be wrong again. Let's just double check. Fryette, he's got 9,000. Okay, so he's come up a little bit over the past little bit. There was a period in time where he had a pretty low amount of subscribers considering, but Fryette Amplification, Fryette Amps on YouTube has only 9,270 subscribers as of right now. Yeah, Marla has a website. I kind of have a website. It's not really a website. I'll show you. I think I can find it real quick. I need to create a hotkey for it. Whatever. I don't think that's it. Maybe I went. I can see. I don't even know my own. I don't even know my own URL. .com. Let's go. Come on. It's being stubborn. I thought I had it saved in there. Maybe I do. Hold on. No, I don't. Well, I don't even know my own freaking URL. So that tells you how interested I am in really trying to sell these things anyway. So, .com. Just freaking go. It keeps trying to roll it out to legacy amplification, but that's not what my URL is. So, it's not gonna resolve. That's really all it comes down to. So, I apologize. I just kind of want to know. So, bam. Let's go that way. Nope, it's not gonna do it. Whatever. One of these days I'll put the link up. I can tell you how important that is right now for me. About that important. I can't even find my own damn URL. I do have one. It does exist. It is there, but I'm not into that part yet. Yes, you're right. Advertisement is key. My biggest goal, really, my short-term goal at the moment is creating a product line. I do not have a product line. I have a bunch of amps, but neither of them is complete. The only complete design I have is my 18 watt design. Well, that's not true. My 18 watt and both my 5 watt designs. Those are the only ones that are done, ready to go, and that I can show pictures and all this, that, and the other for. The other ones I'm still working on. As you can see, this one's in a state of completion. This one, state of completion. So I need to come up with the settled designs. And my idea was that there's no point in having 1 or 2 complete designs and then trying to go public. I need to have 5 or 6 complete designs, and then I can go public. So I need to get those done. That's why I was putting a big emphasis on getting, this guy here kind of figured out. So it was that kind of reasoning. So, no, that's true. You're right. Lone Dog, you're correct again. And that's the other thing too, is I'm a one-man band over here, more or less. I do have a little bit of help. My friend Brian, as I've already mentioned many a time before, he's definitely helped trying to keep this thing going. He's basically provided me with not the laptop, but the mini PC that makes this video content possible. Like, he has basically paid for probably 2 or 3 amp designs of mine, at least. So he ingests time and energy and money, to make some of this possible. But like him or like myself, he's got a limited amount of funds. He's not going to just sit there and shovel money into this. And I don't expect him to either. So, I can't have, exactly. I can't have one design and go public. I have to have a series of stuff. I have my park page. The park page exists. So I own legacy something production, legacy amplification or legacy amps. One of those ones I'm going to find it one of these days and I'll post it in the description. The doobly doo, whatever you want to call it. It does exist. I do have a park page. I actually own, so everything's done right now on my ATEC channel. I own legacy amps, legacy amplification, all those different ones. I own all those YouTube channels as well. Eventually some things will start going in that direction and I'll have to start all over again with this crap. I think once this channel reaches 4,000 or 5,000 subscribers, it'll be pretty easy to move people over to my actual product page or product channel, whatever you want to call it. But there's no point in having it unless I got something to give anyway. And I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm not trying to sell you anything. So there you have it. As far as the monetization goes, the only reason I'm trying to monetize this is I find that that's the only way I'm going to be able to make this viable. Like, obviously, if I'm doing these contents and I can get some, channel members and I can get some sort of income from YouTube in general, that'll just offset the cost to make this stuff more possible. Because ultimately, I'd love to just make it so I don't have to bother with trying to sell you a $6,000 amp. Realistically, I'd rather not. If you want one, I'll build you one. It's going to be one of my designs. I'm not doing the Friedman thing where I do a modified Marshall. If you want an amp that I make, I will build you one. But at the moment, it's going to cost you shit tons of money. So if you want to skip the line and forego the whole, lottery bit, that's how that'll work out more or less. So Thank you, Lone Dog. I appreciate that. Yes, Legacy Amplification, I think, is an amazing name. A lot of people were trying to get me to use my name. So my name is Luke, if you don't already know, but some people were trying. Well, yeah, I could. Right now, my legacy or my flagship amp is my 18 watt, but that's not going to appeal to a large number of people. Most people these days, I think, are kind of, I don't know what it is, but everybody loves like high gain, like Marshall-esque type designs. Why do you think Friedman still does it? So I want to have one that can kind of pull all those ranges. Right now, my little 50 watt design down there that I keep showing, that one's the one that's gonna, I think is gonna kind of land on that ownership here pretty quick once it gets out and about. But we need to finish it first. So the design I think is settled now. I just have to redo the turret board to match that design. So right now it's flying leads and stuff like that. It's not pretty inside. Oh my gosh, Offset, don't you lie to me. My voice is not that soothing. But thank you. I appreciate the support. You know, the viewership side of things isn't that bad. Here's the nice thing about what I got going on. So they talk like the CPM or whatever it is, the cost per milli or whatever it is what you get paid for every, 1,000 views or whatever. Voixu or Voxu or whatever, he knows exactly what this is because he's got a great subscriber count, etc., etc. Like, mine is pretty high. I do pointed enough content that I think my average CPM is something like $10.50. That's not bad. So yeah, every 1,000 views I make $10.50. But I don't have a viral video. I never will. I'll never have a viral video. So, I promise I would turn the volume and brightness down. So I don't know. I'm not seeking for anything. I'm not looking for that. I don't necessarily want anybody to start doing the super chats and all that bullshit. I'd rather just YouTube just pay me and have the content work for itself. I think at some point, once I get 10 or 12,000 subscribers or something like that, I'll get enough views off of this kind of stuff that making these amps will just be viable in and of itself. At least it'll be a net zero. And I'm okay with a net zero. When it pays for itself, I don't mind. And that means I can continue to do it indefinitely. I have a nice job. I have a nice thing going. If it can go beyond that and I can start banging one of these out a month as an actual sale item, that's great too. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. That's not the short-term goal. Yeah, there is, but it's not. My day job is pretty nice. I have a pretty killer day job. Again, if I'm selling 2 of these things at $6,000 a month, you got to keep in mind only half of that is what I'm actually keeping. So yeah, sure, $6,000 a month is a good income, but there's no security in that. And I've already been down that road before. I was a sound engineer for 25 years with my own company and my own business, and I did great until COVID came along. When COVID came along, it pulled that rug out nice. Like, holy shit, it stopped the cash flow like instant-fucking-taneously. Holy cow. So being that I was in the entertainment world and all that stuff, live sound engineer, right? I was literally on a flight. So I was in Mississippi the week that they were talking about shutting shit down. And the wife goes, Luke, there's no toilet paper in the stores right now. I was like, bullshit, come on. Like, get over it. Like, just go to the store and buy some freaking toilet paper if you're that worried. And, another day goes by and she's like, no, like, baby, I went to the store. There's no toilet paper. I was like, come on. How much do we got in the house right now? She's like, well, we got enough maybe for a week or 2 or whatever. I was like, it'll be fucking fine. What do you got to worry about? Oh my God. Then they shut the shit down. Right. So it was the day before I was heading home from Mississippi. They shut shit down and I'm on a flight home from Mississippi. On that 6-hour flight from Mississippi to LAX, I got 6 phone calls. Those 6 phone calls eliminated my entire year's income. Eliminated. I went from a 6-figure income while in Mississippi to a 0-figure income when I landed in LAX over that 6-hour flight. It took a couple weeks before that actually like dawned on me. It's just like, I don't have a job. Like, I don't have anything like on the books right now. All it took was 6 fucking phone calls to be like, yeah, all these things are canceled for now. So holy hell, talk about less than fun. So, you know, I had a legitimate business, luckily, so I was able to take advantage of some of the, you know, like some of the things available. So I got to sit on my butt for a little while. So what did I do when I sat on my ass? I bought a CNC machine. So I was like, well, if I can't do sound, I'll do something I can do in my garage. So I bought a CNC machine. I have not found a way to turn out a buck out on that yet. Although there's all kinds of different things I probably could have done. But yeah, you know, whatever. And then, so I got basically an 8-month vacation. And it freaking sucked because all the money that I had saved up, all the other shit that I had going on got wiped out. I started from scratch again. It's a thing, like whatever. Like, as they say, professionals don't panic, they pivot. And that's exactly what I did. I pivoted. So I didn't get back into doing live sound. I took on a production role, if you will, for a company that did production. So audio, visual, and lighting, right? That's kind of part of visual, but you know what I mean. So we provided power, audio, and visual, and lighting, and all that fun stuff for special events and that. So I took on a production management role for that. And I ended up working more than I ever had worked before for about half the income. That wasn't tenable anymore. So I got an offer I couldn't refuse. My buddy Brian hooked me up with a job as an IT technician. So that's what I do during the day. I'm an IT technician. I do not do bad. I am pretty much right back where I started from 6 years ago. I'm happy with that. It's okay. I'm fine. So yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got wiped out. Like literally, I was doing all right and had money saved and no, this, that, and the other, and was able to just keep afloat. But I'm doing better than ever now. Like I'm able to give stuff away. So that's a big part of what this drive is too, is just like, I know during the pandemic, while I was working for that production, you know, as a production manager, I started on this as trying to find a way to do what basically Marla Amplification is doing right now. Like how to make an amp like this for the $1,000 to $1,400 mark. And at that time it was doable. Now you can't do it. There's just no way to do it anymore. I had to shift my mindset a little bit. And it wasn't that I didn't want to give back. It was just like, there was no way I could build this amp and sell it for $1,400. As we've already gone over the cost of these things, even a cheap amp, like my little 5-watt, which has only maybe $500 worth of stuff in it, you couldn't sell it for $1,400 and still make any money on it to make it a viable thing. The viability is the hard part. So for right now, it's an expense. It's a hobby, if you want to call it that, but it's a way for me to kind of give back. This is my own little way of doing it. It is a lottery, more or less. It's a freaking lottery, except for it's at least a free entry lottery. All you got to do is give a little bit of your time. We're talking like 15 seconds initially. If you win, then you owe me some more. So you kind of want to be the winner, but you don't, because the only reason you don't want to be the only reason you do, if you are the winner, you're going to have to give me something. You have to give me a really good, like, even if you freaking hate the amp, I don't care. Like, these things don't do me any good if you hate the damn things, right? So I need a real feedback. The unfortunate thing with Linus and the whole Sweden amp thing, Pathos 89, is that he's kind of shy, and that's okay. That's okay to be shy. I get that. But he's probably never going to give me like a full-on review of that amp that can be disseminated to the rest of the world. So what I got on that video when I went to Sweden is probably what I'm gonna get, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that, and I understand that. So this one, we kind of wanted to make sure that the person who won was gonna be a little more open to having their lives, like, you know, involved in this a little bit. So that's kind of why the entry video was brought into it. We want to know that you're at least willing to jump through that hoop, right? It's not much to ask. So can you please? Pretty please. So, let's see here. Well, yeah, there was a little bit. There's back end talk all the time. I don't know how much, Andy and I will team up per se. Our goals are kind of the same. My way of getting about it is a little bit different. Obviously, I have a completely different mindset than him, and there's nothing wrong with that either. It's just, he's a little more strong-minded, I guess, if you will, about that. But everybody's kind of got their own way of getting from point A to point B. I'm not saying my way's the best or his way's the best or whatever. No. It's a way. We all want to get to the goal line. I'm just trying to get to my own goal line. My goal line is just different. I'm already probably going to catch flack anyway, because I talk just enough shit about some of these different companies to have shit thrown back at me. So my thing is if I'm going to talk any kind of shit, I want my nose to be clean at least. So, I don't think I have anything that somebody can throw back at me and, say I'm an asshole, even though I'm probably an asshole anyway. But we try to keep it that way, at least for the most part. So I don't really poo-poo too much. I try to be honest and fair. At the very least, I try to be honest and fair. A big part of my biggest complaints is that a lot of these companies that a lot of people put a lot of faith and a lot of support into have sunk. The companies, not the people, the companies have sunk to a level of race to the bottom. That's the nicest way I can put it, is they don't care about the person buying the product as much as they care about making a buck. That's it. Why else would you sell into a conglomeration or whatever you want to call it, like BAD or something like that, right? There's no other reason that you would do that unless it was, I need to make margin and I want this to last longer than I can make it happen on my own, right? So I'm going to give up on my ideals. I'm going to give up on I said I would never do this. I'm going to give up on all that crap and I'm going to sell out. That's the nicest way I could possibly put it, because I want to make sure that I'm going to make my $2 million a year for the rest of my life. And I want, XYZ name to last forever. That's it. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. It's not a nice thing to say, but it is the thing I can say. And I can say that, I think, like you say, honest. And it's polite, but it's rude. It cuts, it hurts. It's not nice. And I hate doing it, but it's true, because I know that you're going to spend $2,000, $3,000, maybe even $1,500 on their small little lunchbox heads or whatever for these things. And it's going to sound great. It's not that it sounds bad. They sound fine. They sound great, but you're going to have problems with them. At some point or another, you're going to have problems with them. And they're only going to be semi-repairable. Better than some of these PCB, like full-on PCB amps that are out there, but you're still going to have problems with them. And they're starting to show up already. Rift Amps recently had a Friedman on his bench, and it had a problem, and it was a stupid fucking problem that you should never have. And the only reason it came to exist is because of how that amp was made. Period. There are amps that are going to slip through with problems. When you're playing at that level, you shoot for 1% failure rate or something like that, infant mortality rate. 1% when you're blopping 1,000 things out a month, that's what, 10 amps a month are going to go out of that shop with some sort of fault that's predetermined to happen prematurely. Right? Or is it 100? I don't know. Whatever the fuck it is. It doesn't even matter. I'm not a mathematician. I'm just a freaking idiot that builds amps. But you know what I mean? Like, there's that kind of thing is going to happen. If I started making these things en masse over time, there's going to be a period of them that are going to fail. And the only reason that they're going to fail prematurely is because, guess what I did? I cheapified it. 10-year guarantee? I don't know. Mine, I'm shooting for lifetime. Like, fuck 10 years. 10 years, I think that I want the thing to just be broken in. I'm shooting for lifetime guarantee. Like, if it leaves my shop, if you have a problem with it, send it back. I'll fucking fix it. Like, there's no reason not to. Like, there's no reason not to. It shouldn't have a freaking lifespan. Like, if one of these caps dies in 5 years from now, it's not my fault. It just happened to happen. But what does it cost me to replace a freaking cap? If my name is on the line, right? So If a customer drops it, that's a different story, but you know, maybe that's not included in a lifetime guarantee, but you know, from the, what does it take? What does it take? You know what I mean? If I'm going to sell these things at the premium, I'm probably going to have to sell them at, I can eat replacing a, you know, an alpha pot. I can eat replacing a freaking tube socket that happens to go bad for some stupid reason. They never should, probably won't. And most users, I think, that are responsible, given the cost of these, you're probably not going to get a lot of irresponsible owners. One can hope. So I don't have a problem putting my name on it for life. So that's why these things aren't banging out of my shop either, because I'm not going to put anything out of here that doesn't, you know, isn't going to stand the test of time. I had my first failure not too long ago. I posted it on for my channel members. It was not a failure of the amp. It was a failure of the tubes. The tubes took a shit. That's it. Everything else was fine. Put a new set of tubes in it. Ultimately, I didn't even end up having to change the bias resistor. I was prepared to and did all the work to do that. But after using the tubes for a period of time, they settled into the same spot that it was with the same value resistor that was in it when the amp failed to begin with. Power tubes, one of them decided to go out of range. I replaced it with Mollards. Owner's happy with it, and I expect at least another couple years out of it before another pair of tubes has to go. Now, keep in mind, that amp is on full blast all the time. That thing has never seen a day in its life. In the year and a half that it was out of my shop, when that amp was being played, it was dimed, period. All the way up. Or close enough to all the way up to say it was all the way up. So, thank you. I'm glad you brought that back around. The LD7-50 is the way to go. That's what we're going to call it. We're calling it the LD7-50. So, gosh, 3.5 hours into this. I'm shocked. We've only did like 1 hour of work. Not even that. It was only like 30 minutes of actual work. But I think we're at a place now where we can call it. You guys, I want to thank you so very much, everybody, for coming in. I think this is probably one of my more successful lives that I've done. I think I reached a peak for the number of whatever they call it, concurrent viewers or whatever. That's all I care about. So just getting more people involved and just getting in here. So thank you. I hope we learned some stuff. I learned some stuff. Lone Dog, thank you so much. Yeah, right. I do need to learn. I need to have a tax guy. At some point I will need to have a tax guy, but that's down the road a little ways. Taxes right now I'm pretty good with, but I am going to call it, you guys. I can't thank you all enough. So we'll see you in the next one. Take care. Hold on, I got to grab the button so I can hit it. But anyway, thank you so much. Take care. Goodbye.